Hello and welcome back to Blood and Ashes. This is episode 63, our season finale for Lord of Chaos. As always, I am your host Mo, and I'm joined once again by my dismembered friends Jody.
Bonjour.
And Willie.
Good evening.
Thanks for the pause. Pause for dramatic effect.
The pregnant pause. Guys, there is so much dismemberment in this episode.
We're already getting into Willie's chapters.
But let's not spoil the content.
In Jody's chapter and yours.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yes.
Dismemberment in mine, and in Willie's it's more of like a mushy.
Shredding. Yes, an exploding of sorts.
Well, there's
paste.
also the golem that goes to town and
Yes,
Parrot fell.
yes.
So
yes,
it's in the
that's
epilogue
true.
as well.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck, yeah. There is
And
a lot
neatly
of body parts.
body parts,
Mm-hmm.
blood.
Here's a golem with OCD. Can't leave the body parts lying everywhere.
Got to stack them in piles.
Like a disgusting or repulsive Jenga.
Well, maybe it's
damn.
like it seals off the purpose. Like, okay, what do I do now? Like, my instruction was given, like, just do this, but I've got to do something with it. So, like,
It's
Jenga,
got individuality. They've got
board games.
personalities.
Artistic flair, apparently.
Oh, yes, they do.
Putting his mark on it. How many golem were there? Let's start with creating a callback. How many golem were made again? I think there was like only
6.
5 or something. Yes,
Somewhere
3 men
around
and 3
there. 6 or
women,
5,
something
yeah.
like that.
That's it. That's 6 too many.
Got to set himself apart from the other golem. So, his thing is stacking the parts in piles.
Yeah.
trademark.
Now, look, there's a lot of other stuff that is not dismemberment related. So let's get shit into gear here. Let's get into it. I am excited about everything that we're gonna cover here. I will just remind our listeners quickly that after we do the normal structure of the show, we're going to have a bit of a chat about the book as a whole. So if you usually tune out after we've done the chapter recaps, or you only stick around for those, this time stick around for a bit of chat about the book at the end. And let's hope that we can actually recall a lot of this book that we have read over the last couple months to speak somewhat intelligently about it.
No, don't put that kind of pressure on us.
When did we start
the
the
first episode? October 22nd. Willie and I were checking before.
Wow.
22nd of October last year.
We had a Christmas break in there.
But also, this is the longest book by word count in the series.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Next
Interesting.
is The Shadow Rising. But this is by far I like on your bookshelf. If you look at if you've got the hardcovers, I don't know. The paperbacks seem to be all the same, but the hardcovers, this book is definitely the fattest.
See, the
Okay.
thing is, you feel that book 10, 9
Feels the longest.
They feel the longest, but
Yeah.
they not in word count and page count and content. They aren't.
Okay.
Christina
All right.
started book 12 the other day, and she finished book 11 and like swiped her Kindle and went, oh, and it just said that's the end of book 11, and she went, what? It surprised her. She says she didn't feel
Wow.
any slog whatsoever. Like she didn't
Yeah, but
even
11's
notice
where
where
it picks
she
up
was.
again.
Well, I mean, she's just passed 9, 10, and 11, and she said she didn't notice any slog. I was like, all right.
Okay. That's
I'm
heartening.
happy for you.
Well, let's hope we have the same experience.
Hey, maybe it is different in our 40s. Like, you're doing it now, and you're going to go through that, and it's going to be completely different. Hella entertaining. You're going to have so much content.
And then
That's what I
the
heard.
apple carts and the menagerie and all that stuff still annoy me exactly like they did back in the day. So I'm hoping that
No, but it's
the
gonna be
political
awesome.
intrigue is a bit more appealing this time around.
Yeah.
Before we can get to all of that stuff, all those lovely treats, we need to eat our veggies, though, in a little segment called Callbacks.
You're weird. Just carry on. Let's eat our veggies, everyone.
I was going to say something, and I decided I'm just going to keep quiet. And then Jody said something.
You gotta have you can't just have treats all the time. You gotta eat your vegetables as well. And our vegetables come in the form of going back and correcting ourselves and answering stupid questions that we asked for years now. So
It's like the boiled cabbage of vegetables and stuff. I don't know. Just carry on, Morris. Don't
the steamed Brussels sprouts. How long do you want to keep this going?
the cabbage family. Let's just say carry on.
Very
What
well.
about eggplant? I mean, I really feel we
I
need
love
to
an eggplant.
chuck that in there.
That's one of the greatest vegetables there are. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Oh, God. Okay. No, that's a whole other podcast we need to start.
Okay, I'm on board.
Okay, let's start with an easy one. Let's call this one a zucchini. The Aes Sedai that last studied all the dream terangrial was Korean Nadiel. So we were
Yes.
virtually correct. Joe, you were right about Olivia. The strongest female channeler from the Third Age was a Damane.
Yeah.
Since she was a young girl and had been collared for 400 years when she was freed.
Fuck.
She was never completely brainwashed, and she hates the Suldam, so not broken at all, despite being on the collar for 400 years. And she later, after being freed, she appoints herself as Rand's personal protector after attributing her emancipation to him personally. Rad.
Welcome
Thanks.
aboard.
Okay, Rand and Perrin and their fight. Vil, you sort of opened up a little bit of a can of worms, at least a can of worms residing solely in my brain, about whether they were planting the seeds for their fake fight that they were putting up. You know, like they had a bit of not an altercation, but like they got a bit short with each other when Perrin was complaining about Rand using people. Because he immediately asked Perrin and Loyal, after Loyal rocks up, can you go see all the way gates? And Perrin, can you go straight to Tyr? Thanks. So Rand and Perrin have their big fight in Kyrian in chapter 27 of Crown of Swords. So that's about half a book from where we are now. So that's halfway through the next book.
But it's not a lot of time. It is a tremendously
No.
short time that passes now. In the next
Absolutely.
book, time-wise, goes like this.
For sure. And what I'm about to say will feed into that. And the fight that they have in Crown of Swords is said to be staged. Like I can't find the specific reference in the books, but they went into that meeting knowing that they were going to set up a difference of opinion so that it looks like they would.
If I recall correctly, you actually don't sort of experience the fight. You experience it.
That's a recall from Perrin.
View, sort of a recall from Perrin as he's riding on.
And it's only revealed later in the story that it was staged. Yeah. So, okay, so here's a couple points about it. So when Rand and Perrin snap at each other in the previous episode, it's born of Rand's desperate need to act on multiple fronts by using everyone he knows who can pitch in, and Perrin's disbelief that the Rand he knows could use people so callously, right? Like that is that's their sticking point. Rand is desperate. We've spoken about this at length, about all the plates he's spinning and all the stuff he needs to take care of, right? And Perrin has been in the Two Rivers. He's just come from Emansfield again. He's surrounded by people from the Two Rivers, and he still knows Rand from the Two Rivers. And he is just shocked that his friend from the Two Rivers can be so utilitarian or Machiavellian even. You can see both of their points of view, but in this specific instance, I sort of like, if I had to choose a side, I can understand Rand. Like, everyone needs to put their feelings aside here and get shit done. Like, this is the end of the world. This is the final battle. Like, Perrin, okay, I get it. This might not be the Rand that you knew from Emansfield, but this is the Dragon Reborn preparing for the final battle against the Dark One. Okay, so you're not talking, sheep herding here. This is high stakes. And then the fight in Kyrian is staged, but is taken over by real emotion. So Rand really does injure Perrin, first of all, like we've said before as well. So the two events have commonalities. Perrin is still resisting Rand's utilitarian approach and general treatment of people, but their genuine emotion underneath or beneath the surface comes up again, because like you said, Vil, it's not a lot of time since right here, where we are in the story right now, and they do have opposing beliefs or motivations in terms of how you use people or whether you should be using them as callously as Rand seems to be doing. And also, I don't think that the previous argument is part of the plan that is set in motion later. So I don't think they are purposefully sort of sowing the seeds, but the two events are definitely linked because the stage fight that they put on is elevated to the point of Rand flinging Perrin against a pillar. And Perrin later, like, I think blood comes from his mouth and he thinks he may have cracked some ribs. Like, Rand did not hold back. He was furious.
Yeah, he was furious with him at that time. And
also, what they're talking about is Rand's treatment of the Aes Sedai. And like you said, this is not a lot of time since Rand was put in a box, and we'll cover in these chapters, Rand is like, never trust the Aes Sedai, never again, not a hair. You know, he is burnt by them in a big way. So you can understand why their tempers flared the way that they did.
If you look at events sort of where you can tie time to, so not moving on apple carts and okay that you're in Faldara for X amount, you've got a specific time to it. Like now the volume of pages versus the days that we're in, it's like it's a huge focus on time in specifically then like this Dumai Wells and everything that happens after it now is very, very detailed, like very focused in on a small period of time.
And I mean, I think it's warranted. We'll get to it, but Dumai's Wells must be, we've said it again, we've said one of the most memorable chapters from the whole series, but also like quite an ending to that book, right? Like we'll talk more about the book as a whole, but like it deserves, you need to debrief afterwards. Like, okay, what are the effects of this gargantuan event? And something similar to this happens later when Rand and Nynaeve cleanse the source. The next book, also, I think the first half of the book is people sensing this enormous channeling event from across the globe, and then like men reacting to the taint not being there anymore. And like it's a lot of time spent dealing with events leading up to and during the cleansing of the source and immediately afterwards.
There's a lot of time spent by Aes Sedai saying, no, the taint can't be cleansed. And the guys are going,
Surely
I'm
not.
telling you it is. I'm channeling right now. And they're like, nah, I don't believe you. Like, fuck you.
Totally. Okay, let's move on. Vil, I think either I misunderstood your summary in the last episode, but when the Saladar Aes Sedai come to Rand and they sort of cast that mirror of mists and they try and tower over him, and Rand cuts their flows, he doesn't tower over them using illusion. He's not channeling at all. He's standing on the dais and he's looming over them because he's on an elevated pedestal.
So he's looming over them.
Just physically, he's a tall dude and he's standing on a thing that's taller than them, so he's just standing down. But he is actually quite soft-spoken in that exchange, and he just says, "No, actually, my restrictions stand, and you will give me more respect next time. So you are dismissed." Which is much more effective than him sort of getting.
He did the opposite, actually. Still.
Yes.
That he actually inverted the anyway.
Yeah. Berelain and Galad meet in Towers of Midnight, book 13. We were wondering, like, wow, when do they meet? Because Min had that viewing of Berelain falling in love with a man in white, and that being Galad, and we were like, oh, when does that happen again? Only book 13, so quite some ways off.
And it's love at first sight.
Yes. Fail is 18 in the year 999 New Era, so slightly younger than Perrin. She's of an age with Egwene, as I think, Willie, you said in the last episode. Listening to the last episode, and specifically about the Aes Sedai ability to compel a warder using the bond, I thought about how there were times when Lan and Moiraine definitely had differences of opinion, and she could have potentially compelled him, but I got the sense that she never did. Do you remember when, like, in book 1, when they're trying to decide whether they should go to Shadow Logoth or not, they sort of have a difference of opinion, and I think they go with Lan's option. I think Lan is the one that ultimately convinces her that they should go there.
Yeah, they have a different... I wonder if this is addressed in New Spring. Maybe they set up some deal right in the beginning, like, I'll
had
never
the same
compel you through
thought,
the
Joe.
bond. Because I think, look,
thought.
he is the king of Melkir. He's not some dude who learned how to fight from Hammon or Hamar or whatever his name was.
Hamar,
Like, yeah, he's not just another warrior.
No.
So you treat him with the respect of a king, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. You would.
Yeah, there's a very.
I
deep
mean, I
mutual
would.
respect there.
There is, but I mean, it'd be worth to go back to New Spring and see if they make an explicit deal, compact. I will not compel you. I could, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe even before she bonds him.
Moraine is a noble, so I mean, I wouldn't think that her being quite a stand-up straight, uh, you know, a person of the light would use compulsion through the bond as a means.
Okay, look, this is not capital C compulsion, but it's not far from it. And Morel is of the light and just used it in our previous episode, like on Lan. People of the light do it. That's not the deciding factor.
Yeah, but she's also dealing with a mad rate of mad feral water Lan, and as we
still
had
disagree.
just discussed, Lan at the time okay. So firstly, we just said Lan is not just any man. He's the king of Malkia.
The man,
the man, the borderlander madman. That's now gone feral.
He's not mad.
So, I mean,
he's not gone feral.
He's feral mad. He's wounded and festering wounds and like.
He's wounded, yes, but he's not feral.
You would not approach him if you saw him ride his horse in there in the dark.
Well, that's because he's a dangerous man with a sword, and he's not skittish and crazy. No, he hasn't gone crazy. He's sad. Anyway, we're not going to resolve that here. You think he's feral? I don't. That's okay. We can think those things.
I abstain.
Excellent. So we've reached the stalemate.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about Lan being the king of Malkia and therefore commanding respect. I mean, Moraine was in line for the Sun Throne. And in fact, the reason she ran away to the tower is so that she didn't have to become queen. Or no, the reason she ran away from, or not ran away from the tower, but after she became Aes Sedai, she left the tower and didn't want to be around there anymore and, went on her quest because people were trying to push her to being queen of Cairhien, but she had to find the dragon.
She also had another agenda.
Well, the Aes Sedai, the tower did get their queen in Cairhien, Aes Sedai, eventually.
Eventually.
Elaine, but not with her. Yeah, so you've got like a would-be queen with a would-be king. Because you think about a lot of these Aes Sedai, like even Swan, she's a fisherman's daughter. Like, no disrespect to Swan, but she doesn't come from the lineage that's...
Bera is like a farmer's wife or something like.
Yeah, and Morel, like, I don't know what the fuck where she comes from, but it's the first thing she does when she sees land is immediately compel him because he won't come closer to her. She says, come here, and he won't. So she goes, oh, well, I'll fucking
Yeah.
compel you. Jesus,
Yeah. Okay, we were wondering, what's Olva's horse called again? It's called Wind. We were right.
The important things.
Yes, I had made a mistake. I had said that Merilil was Tylan's advisor, but that was actually a different Aes Sedai called Kavandra. Merilil is just a Saladar-friendly Aes Sedai in Ibudar. Kavandra had returned to the tower when Elida recalled her.
Abracavandra.
I actually made a note of that. I was going to call you out on that. But thanks for bringing that up and calling yourself out.
Sure. Cool story, bro.
In that same conversation that Tylan is having with Elaine and Nynaeve, where she speaks of Kavandra, she also says that Teslin and Jolene are in Ibudar already. We didn't really touch on that because those two Aes Sedai have a long story with Matt and traveling with Matt, and Matt saves their lives, and they've got they appear a lot. They have a slightly different journey, but I think Jolene is the one that actually ends up really thanking Matt. Like, I think after she gets back to the White Tower, I think she returns to the tower itself, and after she gets to the tower, she writes Matt a letter to thank him for everything he did for her. So that's a nice breath of fresh air, like an actual sign of gratitude from an Aes Sedai.
Yeah, she was probably demoted and stilled after that. You did what? Penance on the farm for you.
Egwene catches wind of it and is like, what? You apologized to Matt? Yeah, farm. Then we made a comment about the Rahad in Ibudar. And we were saying, like, what does the city look like? Why is there a boat needed? They build a moat around it. I went and I found a map, and I sent you guys a picture of the map in the chat. It's just a city split in two by the mouth of the river.
And the Rahad is like the everything on the other side of the river. That giant shithole. It's not like a little area in the city.
It's almost half the city.
It is the picture of segregation there, just a line between the two.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is the end of callbacks. So let us fly along the track here and go straight on to previously on Blood and Ashes. Elaine and Nynaeve meet Queen Tylen in Ibudar and have a pretty open and frank conversation. Tylen needs help to secure her throne for her son after she vacates. Elaine and Nynaeve tell Tylen about their search and she directs them to the Rahad, the rough part of town. The girls also catch a glimpse of Jake and Carradine, who also seems to be representing a White Cloak presence in the city. We jump to Camelin, where Loyal arrives and catches up with Rand and Perrin, and it's not long before Rand asks Loyal to seal up the waygates, and Perrin gets annoyed at Rand's constant use of his friends to achieve his goals. Min arrives with an urgent message that 6 Aes Sedai are on their way to Rand unannounced, in clear breach of his requirements, and after a couple of days of not showing up at all, Rand scurries to be ready for the Grand Hall for when they arrive, and when they do, they use illusions to try and bully Rand into treating them better, all fueled by what they thought was an Aiel attack on Demira ordered by Rand, which of course it wasn't. Thanks, Baden Fane. Rand dispels their illusions and tells them his restrictions stand, plus they need to show him more respect, and then dismisses them. Min races back to the inn where she sees Bera and Karuna also arrive and discuss Rand. Rafella's warder Mahira tells Min that Bera and Karuna were halfway to Cairhien on their way to finding Rand in the waste before hearing Rand was in Camelin and turning around. With the arrival of the 2 Aes Sedai, it makes a total of 13 known to be in Camelin, and Min rushes back to the palace again to tell Rand. She tells Rand about the 13 sisters and the viewing she had of Bera and Karuna. The 2 women and Rand will be in the same place at the same time to experience blood, death, and the one power. That's what her viewing translated to. Rand decides it's time to get the hell out of Camelin, and he brings Min, Perrin, Loyal, et al. With him. They all write some letters to leave behind for their friends and family, and Rand makes a gateway for them to the Sun Palace. Rand leaves a letter for the Saladar Embassy that they can follow him to Cairhien, but they need to listen to him when he makes rules. The Saladar Embassy have a group huddle with Verin, Alana, Bera, and Karuna at their inn and reflect on how things have gone awry. Bera and Karuna take charge as the most powerful sisters there and send everyone on a couple of different missions. Rand spends 10 days relaxing in Cairhien. Ruark tells him about Shido amassing to the north. Rand meets with Herod Fell again, who asks Rand not to bring Min around. She's too pretty. He gets a couple of notes from Coirin and the Tower Embassy. Min spends a lot of time with the Wise Ones. Perrin is in a world of hurt. Berelain is actively stalking him, and he is woefully unequipped to deal with her advances while keeping Fael assured of his fidelity. 10 days later, Coirin requests another audience with Rand, and he accepts, and he can sense Alana is halfway to Cairhien. Rand is tricked by the Aes Sedai when they come calling, and he's kidnapped in a chest. After his disappearance, the maidens tell everyone that Rand does this sometimes, but Perrin and Sorelia are not so sure. It seems odd. Sorelia notes that Min has also gone missing, and she doesn't like it. Back in Ibudar, Matt is playing dice and trying to keep track of Nynaeve and Elaine so he can look after them or help them, but they're slippery and he can never find them. Nynaeve, Elaine, Avienda, and Birgitta are going on their searches in the Rahad in full one-power disguises. They witness a knife duel in which one man is gravely injured. A local healer shows up and lo and behold starts channeling at the poor man, but ultimately is unable to save his life. In the Saladar Aes Sedai camp, Egwene is planting seeds in Loghain's head for him to join the Black Tower. She later meets with Nynaeve and Elaine in Tel'aran'rhiod, where they report no luck with finding the Bowl of Winds. When she wakes up, Swan is there waiting for her, and she reports the plan to have Loghain escape has been set in motion. And lastly, Lan finally arrives at the Aes Sedai camp where Morel meets him in the night. Lan is in bad shape physically, but he's alive, and Morel has to compel him through the water bond to make him come to her.
That's like the longest one ever.
I know. I feel there was a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail packed in there.
Go lie down.
Yeah. I'm already dreading doing a previously on in the next episode because, man, there's a lot of detail in these chapters. And speaking of these chapters, the first one of those is chapter 53 called The Feast of Lights. Let us feast on the highlights of chapter 53, please, Jody.
I'll feast on your flesh. Feast of
Yikes.
Lights, yeah. Yeah, I know. I was planning that. I knew you would be planning on something along those lines, so I had a counter. Yeah, anyway, before we go on, what you mentioned there about there being now 13 Aes Sedai, I don't know if we spoke about this. I may not have been paying attention. But the number 13 being so worrisome is ceremonial. When they take a man to the tower to get gentled and they have the trial and the ceremony afterwards to gentle him, they use 13 Aes Sedai. So that's why it's maybe another reason we didn't discuss, or did we discuss this?
We discussed this at length, Jody. The fact that you tuned out for that amount of time is troubling. But did we mention
this? The tower.
No, we didn't.
Tower, yeah.
No.
When they gentle a man, they use 13. They could use fewer, but they don't.
Okay, so it is again emblematic of their intentions.
Yes. It's the symbology of it.
It's the implication. I don't know. Are you guys always Sunny fans? No?
No.
Okay. Well, that's for our Sunny fans out there.
And to the Boondock Saints fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fans for everything. So, yes, Feast of Lights. The Kyrenians are partying. These people
Big time.
are fucking losing it in the streets. Normally, they are so buttoned up and so uptight. You know the Kyrenians.
Yes.
You know how they are.
That's my
now
first
they get
note,
this Feast
Joe.
of Lights, and they are like, fuck this shit. Women are ripping off their shirts in the streets, just cutting loose. Perrin is cruising through the streets of Cairn at this point. Just, as I said, streets packed. Topless women everywhere. Dudes, and, everyone's just kissing everyone, and he's just looking at them going, my God. Everyone's drunk as well. This is not just, oh, I'm happy and I'm loose. They wasted. Mm-hmm. So, Thursday night in Jeffreys Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So he thinks that, usual small town evenings. He thinks this is completely, for his sensibilities, being from a small town as well, not Jeffreys Bay, and how the women's circle would be losing their shit if they saw this kind of behavior in town. Everybody would have been switched and berated. Mm-hmm. And who was it that wrote in last week to tell us about the small town, the prudishness of the people from that part of America or something?
Ooh. Oh man, Joe, you're gonna put me on the spot. I think it's Aisha Jean.
Yeah, talking about that. So here is an example of it, of Perrin being like Bible Belt Perrin,
Yeah, puritanical.
Puritanical, like he can't, his brain cannot comprehend what is happening in front of him right now. I mean, this is a guy who's killed Trollocs in battle. I mean, this guy's seen some shit. But that woman there has no shirt on and she's kissing someone.
He's killed
that
men.
will not do.
He's killed white men. He's a murderer.
He can talk to wolves and command them. That's all just in a day's work. But this
that
woman
lady's
with
not
her
wearing
shirt
a
off.
shirt.
Oh dear Lord.
Problem.
Problems. So at this point as well, he's thinking to himself that Rand and Min have been gone for 6 days. So previously they had only been gone a couple of hours and he was already not happy with it, but now it's been 6 days. So something is amiss.
Just on that, while we're there, 6 days. Your mate's gone for 6 days. No one's seen and heard from him, where he used to hop into 3 different cities on one day. It's kind of been a week now. You're going to report him as missing. It's not 48 hours. It's not sleeping off a hangover. To someone.
It's a week. It's almost a week.
Yeah. But that's why they are all jumpy, right? They're all
yeah.
First of all, what do they do? What do they do with that? Who do they report him missing to?
Yeah, exactly. And they're in, where were they?
Last known sighting.
Karen.
Yes, Karen.
Last person that was in the room with him is usually the first person you track down.
The Aes Sedai that kidnapped him.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's Aes Sedai. You don't think that, oh, well, he's gone. The Aes Sedai must have taken him. That's not something.
Well, I've got a note on that.
To mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so he's thinking about those Aes Sedai and thinking, even they're disgusted by this behavior, and they've also just left the city. They left 3 days. I was thinking, nice. Give it some time. They spent 3 days in the city after they kidnapped him to not arouse suspicion, and then skedaddled. So they 3 days gone already. They got a head start. Here they get back to the Sun Palace. There's Fail playing stones with Loyal. And there's that cold shoulder smelling all kinds of weird things, blah, 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 blah. Sulin's there. throwing pillows around, I imagine, doing her Sulan, her impression of a servant, failing at it. Dubrain rocks up, and Perrin's like, wow, this guy looks pretty like serious, and he's sober. Now, they make a point of saying like, oh, he's sober. Is he always drunk? Dubrain?
Yes.
I haven't seen this in a while. Like, I haven't read about this dude in a while, so he likes his booze, does he? There's a lot of guys in this book that like their brandy. Dubrain's one of them, I imagine.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
Perrin is shocked that he's sober because it's the Feast of Lights. Everyone else he's seen is wasted. Dubrain is a soldier, but like he is straight and narrow.
Yeah.
He's the one that was never. Okay. He's the one that Rand says like when he meets them all. He's the only one that openly sort of like showed his emotion on his face. He's not playing any games. He's straight as an arrow, Dubrain.
Yeah, because he's the guy that shaves his head as a soldier as well.
He's still got the soldier hairstyle. Yeah.
Yeah, like
and the armor that it does not as was like anymore. No,
like a drunkard. Yeah, so it's not a surprise to me. Okay, I was surprised that Perrin was surprised.
No, it's because everyone else is shit-faced.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Thank you, Moritz. It's a good thing there's 3 of us on this podcast.
Yes.
Just be one guy randomly babbling shit. Now you've got 3 guys randomly babbling shit.
I was about to say, we're not far from that.
Triple the fun. Oh, yeah, we got Dubrain. Yes. So, like, Dubrain's like, Perrin, we need to talk alone. And Perrin's like, no. Listen, if you want to say something, you can say it in front of my wife. He's like, oh, okay. No secrets from you. And he's talking about he has been some murders, 2 murders, I believe, of not just random people in the streets, but of like nobles.
Significant.
And it's pretty significant murders. So he's under the impression that it's like Colavera is making moves. She's like starting to kill off her
political rivals.
Competition. Yes. Yeah, political rivals, yes. So she's trying to get them and like solidify her thing. So she wants to take the Sun Throne because like, hey, Rand has disappeared for 6 days. Everyone's noticed. Everyone of consequence, that is. So I think like she's like, oh, he's gone. Let me start making some. You can like this game of house people. You leave them alone for a couple of days and they just straight back at it.
On it. But she also had a meeting with major houses or a major quantity of smaller houses that have, put her numbers up there to challenge Mylan and Marangil. So she was going to do the move, but decided to do the grey knife in the dark, poison in the juice.
And she was spurred on by the Aes Sedai, right? Like they said to her, the Dragon Reborn is going to leave Chiron. He's going to come to the tower with us, come hell or high water. Who's going to rule then after he's gone? And they got her thinking.
And they probably thought like
soon.
Yeah, and then they thought, okay, sure, nice words, Aes Sedai. And then Rand disappears for 6 days and like, shit, all right, they were right. Let's make our maneuvers. So everyone's making maneuvers, and some of them have maneuvers of knives in their backs. And their maneuvers are now
maneuvering into the ground.
Yeah, they've maneuvered into the afterlife. So if our parent tells Dubrain, like, look, if you think that Colavera is murdering people, she's a criminal, you need to speak to Ruark about it. And Dubrain's like, I don't want to speak to Ruark about this shit. I rather want to speak to Berylane about this shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do. Everyone wants to speak to Berylane. Speaking of Berylane, she pops into the room and Perrin is like, fuck you, woman. Leave me the fuck alone. Shouting at her. Like, this is not the fucking time. His wife is sitting there. The smells he's getting from her is like kind of like anger, and he's like,
he claps his hands loudly like he would with like a dog or something. Hey, no, slaps. You get out of here.
Shoo, off you go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. But he looks at her face is a bit, something is a bit off. And she's so startled that she drops what she's got in her hands, and she's carrying Rand's sword and his dragon buckle, and I think she's got his spear too. I didn't write that down. Which she found in his apartments. And then they're like, everyone's like, oh, he wouldn't leave for 6 days without his sword and all of that shit.
No. Something
is afoot. Sulan is also in the room because remember, she was throwing pillows around in the bedroom in the background. She sees this shit and she immediately goes, uh-oh. There's shit. So she starts freaking out. Berylane shouts at her. I suppose she's just in the shouting mood now. She doesn't recognize her at this moment as Aiel, which is weird.
No one does.
Clearly not a servant.
Perrin doesn't know her. Perrin doesn't know Sulan at all. He's never had anything to do with her.
I'm talking about Berylane. Doesn't recognize her. Berylane knows her. Berylane
As a maiden.
know her.
Yeah,
As a
Berylane
maiden
knows she's
as
a
well.
maiden.
She's been around.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's like 10,000 maidens in the city. She can't keep track of all of them.
And Sulan is wearing livery and she's got longer hair. She calls for scissors to cut her hair and stuff again. So her hair's a bit longer, but she's in, and you would never imagine a maiden in palace livery.
She tells it, like Sulan at this point as well, like whilst they have a shouting match with Berylane, Sulan just leaves, storms out, goes to talk to the maidens that are outside, and she's like, go get Ruach, Nandera, and go get me some Candasaur. This bullshit is coming off right now.
Yes.
And the scissors, thank you very much. Yeah, like right there, and like, I'm done. Now I'm done with this. My toe is fulfilled, whatever, let's go. My toe is met. So everyone's now, like Perrin as well, is like, okay, Rand's been kidnapped, but how did this happen? There was only 3 Aes Sedai, as far as I can remember, but obviously we know the truth much, much more. So everybody starts making plans. They're like, all right, what the fuck are we going to do? Berylane's trying to like get in on the conversation, but every time she moves closer to Perrin orders her to like stay put, like get the fuck away from me, and starts moving around. They're kind of having this chasing each other around the room scenario. It's really weird.
It's even more comical than that, because Perrin tries to move to Fail. Fail moves away from him, and then Perrin moves towards Perrin. It's just like you can't stand still. It's almost like you expect like yakety sax or something to be playing, like, while they're just like skirting around the room around each other.
And old poor old Loyal knows exactly what's going on. His ears are drooping,
so
and he's just like, oh fuck, dude. And Dubrain and Berylane are just like having to constantly turn around and like try to talk to him. And he's like, would you fuckers just stand still for a minute? So yes, it's a very comical scene. What's going on? And then Berylane's like, yeah, actually, the Aes Sedai were talking to everybody before Rand went missing, and they approached me as well. And I was, in inverted commas, strongly advised to return to Mayene with my forces and whatnot, or I will be forced to do so. So like, so they know the Aes Sedai are involved. They realize Rand's missing. Okay, and that's why Berylane actually went and searched Rand's apartment, because she was like, this was all very, very underhanded and something was afoot. So she went to go double check when he never came back, found his shit, and the jig is up.
So if the Aes Sedai were gone for 3 days already, did it take her 3 days after her conversation with the Aes Sedai to go search his apartment?
Well, I think 3 days is a normal time. It's been 6 days, remember?
That he's been gone, yes. I just mean that they have this like suspicious conversation with her, and they're acting all weird, and that triggers a thought in her 3 days later.
Look,
maybe
Aes Sedai having suspicious, weird conversations with leaders of other countries seems like par for the course. That's like,
actually.
Whenever you meet, if you're a leader of a country and an Aes Sedai speaks to you weirdly and makes maneuvers, you're like, well, it's an Aes Sedai.
At this stage, does Berylane know about Marangil and Mylin's murders?
Well, the brain that's what he came to tell them.
Yeah, but maybe he said it before she arrived.
Does she know or not?
Well, she came in later then.
Yeah, she came in
he was
after.
There first. No, she hasn't. They haven't.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't know yet.
She didn't hear Dobrain say it, but she might know about it already. She is running
yeah,
the
that's
city.
what I mean.
Yeah,
because it's Festival of Lights and things are going, but she hears about this murders and she's like, "What? This is a power grab." She understands the rulers. She knows what's going down. Why would they do this? They know something else. Two things snap together. She rushes to his rooms, like quickly opens a few cupboards or whatever, like what's happening here? And she's his sword and belt, and she's like, oh shit. Like legitly figures out the plot by putting a few pieces of information together.
Yeah.
I think it's plausible.
She's no dummy. I'm surprised it took her this long.
Look, I don't think that the nobles killing each other and making a play for the throne necessarily indicates anything other than, oh, Rand's not here, I'm going to make a move.
No, Rand not here, making a move. It's too, like,
I guess,
Rand is coming
it's pretty
and going,
bold,
like
because if Rand
knowing,
comes back,
knowing he's not gonna come back. We did see what happened when people did stuff in Tia and how he threatened to hang nobles. I mean, that news has now spread far and wide. So I think that there could have been sort of a trigger that Berline's like, whoa, there's something else, like, because the
They
Aes
know
Sedai,
something.
they know something.
Anyway,
Suspicions have been aroused in general. All right, so Perrin now, after hearing all of this about what the Aes Sedai have been saying to Dobrain and what Colovir's doing, what they told Berylane, Perrin's like, all right, the Aes Sedai took him. We have to go get Rand back. Loyal's like, I'm in. You have my axe. And Dobrain says, like, look, I can have 500 men ready the next day. Sorelia arrives at this point, Ruach, Nandera, because Sulin went to go get them. They brought her cadence saw as well, and scissors. She's quickly, chop, dress, back in action. Ruach says, well, look, I'm coming too, obviously. We'll bring some maidens of the spear and some of those Siswayaman. But there's no other Aiel that will fight Aes Sedai. We have history with those guys, you may remember. Nobody's too keen on doing that. He's like, no, that's cool, don't worry about it. So Perrin...
and they can't move too many
Can't leave the
Aiel
place, defenseless.
unguarded because the Shido are amassing.
there are a lot of reasons that come later on.
Right.
So Perrin wants to know, well, like, we need some people who can channel as well. And Sorelia tells him, like, oh, don't worry, Aes Sedai are not the only women who can channel. We'll be bringing our own forces. I think at the end they bring like 94 wise ones that can channel. Like, they're not fucking around.
No.
So yeah, that's the plan is in motion. Everybody's like, okay, we got our dog is in this race. We got some Siswayaman. We got some maidens. We got our wise ones that are coming with. We got 500 horse, was it? I don't know how many. I think it was Dobrain and his his
500.
Horses. His cavalry that he loves so much. Yeah.
Don't confuse Dobrain with Weiramon, who's the one that's always saying charge in with the cavalry.
Yeah, there's so many people who just want to charge in with cavalry.
Yes,
That
all the
fool's
cavalry.
heading down to a fake fight somewhere south.
Yeah.
He ain't. Yeah, he's being given busy work.
Dobrain is no fool.
No, he is.
No, Dobrain's the good guy. It's Weiramon. Isn't Weiramon dead? I want to say Weiramon's dead.
Not yet. It's going.
He's leading Rand's army that's marching on Ilion.
Well, he'll be dead soon enough, I believe. Get him out the way. All right. Back to Galena's point of view. Galena.
Yeah.
So she is trying to get Min to cooperate with her. With some light torture and things like that. She's a terrible human being, as we know. So, but Min is standing out. Fucking Min. She's not talking. She's not giving up anything. Galena, at this point during her conversation, realizes that some of the flows that she's been feeling, because they're already, like, remember, 3 days outside the tent, outside the city. Sorry, she feels some of the flows that have been directed at Rand changing. So she's like, all right, stay here and go. On her way out, she meets the warder, Carillo. Isn't that the guy that Min was all friendly with?
No, that was Mahiro.
That was my hero.
Hero, Carillo.
And that was in Camelin.
Jesus. How do you guys keep track of this shit? Anyway. I have no idea.
It's when
So anyway,
Min was
she tells him,
running
like-
up and down between the palace and the inn that the Aes Sedai was staying in. Mahiro was Rafella's warder, I think.
Wow. Impressive. So anyway, there's another dude who has a very similar name. And she tells him, like, fucking watch her. All right? Because last time was it Mahiro? It might have been Mahiro who let her go out of the tent, Min that is, and go on a walk one night. And Rand spotted her and realized, oh shit, they've got Min. And he lost his fucking mind while they were torturing him as well. Broke through his shield, killed a warder with his bare hands, stole his sword, and then severely wounded another warder with that sword, who ended up dying from the shock of an attempt at healing afterwards. Just telling you now, favorite moment for the end of the episode.
That was the favorite moment I had incorrectly attributed to the previous episode. When I first made
I
one,
know.
I was like,
And it was mine as well.
yeah, I know.
I knew exactly what you were talking about in the last episode.
You said as much, yeah, and I knew that you knew it was that
It
one.
was this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you have to train with your hands and a sword as well.
Yes.
You can't just rely on healing. This case in fucking point, people.
Rand killed an armed warder with his bare hands. And
Stole his sword.
It wasn't Mahiro, Joe. Mahiro is a Saladar Aes Sedai warder on his way to Kyrian from Caemlyn. These are tower warders. But yeah.
Fuck them then.
Yes. But when Rand goes nuts when he sees that they've done something to Min, that they've got Min.
Yes.
Min is the trigger
Yeah.
that sends Rand
Yes.
into a killing frenzy. Yeah.
Yeah, because they let her out to take a walk.
Yeah.
The warder's like, yeah, sure, you're not a threat. Go for a walk in the evening. And then Rand was out and being manhandled. Saw that when you've got fucking men.
Fuck this.
You're all going to die now. Went
Incredible.
bananas. Yes.
And I mean, this Aes Sedai round, so like,
amazing.
it must have taken him so quick to do what he did
Seconds.
because before anyone could channel flows of air or anything around him.
So listen, this is the hand-to-hand combat, being able to kill a man with your hands. This is what the Aiel taught him. This is like Ruach's training.
Yeah.
Then he got a sword, and Land's training kicks in, and he kills another fucking warder. And prior to this, breaking through his shield with the one power, and then like this must have been seconds, maybe 5 seconds before they could, or 10 seconds before the Aes Sedai realized what was going on and had to get back and like reeling from the shock of the shield being broken. And
Wait,
their
what
flows,
shield did he
like,
break?
The shield, because they're shielding him. They've got him captured
shield.
and shielded. He saw her broke through the shield.
Did he?
Yes.
He broke out of his bonds.
His bonds,
He
not
didn't
his
use
shield.
the power. He didn't break his shield that shields him from Sidene.
No.
He broke out of the bonds that he was in and under.
I'm going to have
And-
to go reread that.
If he could channel
And,
Joe, it would be Dumai's Wells
Oh, it's over.
2 chapters
Right
earlier.
there, then.
He'd be laying
Maybe
waste.
he was...
He broke free of his bonds. I think it's
Oh,
the physical.
no, he
Right,
tried to break through his shield. Sorry, I misread that. Tried to break through his shield and then got out. So what, they didn't have him in flows of air or anything like that? He was just standing out there? Oh, no, that's their mistake.
They were
I
beating
think he
him.
was
Serves you
tied up.
fucking right.
Yeah, I think he was maybe
Okay.
in that moment he got that superhuman strength, adrenaline that makes people lift cars and shit. When he saw Min,
Yeah.
and then my vision of it is through the hand-to-hand combat training that he got from Rock, is that he lunged at the warder that was closest and did some judo neck roll on him and broke his neck. And while he's in that movement, already grabbed the sword out of his scabbard and went, already slicing the other warder. And that's when the Aes Sedai could channel a hold on him. It's like, it wasn't a skirmish.
How many
it was
seconds do you think that is?
a
Like
s-
4
Oh,
seconds?
1.5. 1.5 seconds done.
He's not the Flash. It's like, I'm going to
Hey,
give him 5 seconds.
In my mind,
You have
one
to
and
get
a
there,
half seconds.
grab him, roll forward, bring the water over backwards, like break his neck.
No, not
grab
like
his
that.
sword,
He did
finish
like
a flourishing
like a
roll.
jumpy fling
River
roll.
undercuts the bank. The jumpy fling roll into river
Like a-
undercuts the bank.
Like all of this is in one movement, around a neck, sword out, slice, heron rushes swords through cutthroat areas.
Clearly. All right.
No, look, well, I mean, it's not described for a reason so that your imagination can go wild with it. But
Yes,
the,
can
the-
absolutely go well. It's
Specifically for this
beautiful.
reason.
yes, but the aftermath is undeniable.
What's happening here now? This is Jordan smiling in his grave going, yeah, it worked.
That's what he wants. Yeah,
Look at these 3 weirdos.
and it's great. It's cool.
All right. Yeah, loving
Awesome.
it.
You can make it 1.5 seconds if you want it to be 1.5 seconds. You can move like the Flash. It's Magic Land, man, and it's non-scripted Magic Land. I have got creative license.
So, just a
You
thought
do.
occurred to me now. Like the
another
Aes
one.
Sedai that was, I've had 2 today. The Aes Sedai that's busy punishing him at the time was it because the 2 warders that are killed both belong to the same Aes Sedai?
Arian, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Arian that was punching him at times. Probably
it's
Galina.
true.
Arian is one
after
of
this,
the Aes Sedai
she's
that
now
punish him heavily
Arian takes
after
over
this
from here
because
on.
of the warders. Yeah. Okay. I was just thinking if she was, the others might have been maintaining their shields, but like distracted by other things because they don't have to be looking at him to do it. If she was the one, if her warders are around and she was the one interacting with him, it would make sense that if Rand suddenly kills a warder, the shock of it would delay her from channeling flows of air around him, like that water bond being,
possibly.
so sensitive.
This might be written in this very chapter. It might be
There's no way of
clearly
ever
stated.
knowing.
No, it's impossible to know. We'll have to wait until next week and we get some callbacks from our listeners who go, yeah, totally, it was that. But we don't, at this moment, impossible to know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Move along.
Water's dead. All right, so fucking keep an eye on him. Don't let Min out of this tent. We're not going to do that again. All right, so Galina heads off to look for Gawain. Gawain is not hanging around close by. She's bonded to these Aes Sedai, but he's not a fan. Galina looks over and she sees where Rand is being held in the chest. The good old Rand in the chest. And there's now 6 Aes Sedai seated around him and shielding him, and they're not taking any chances anymore. Arian is there as well now at the moment. She's standing, and she is just fucking looking daggers at that box. And she's been hanging around that box ever since Rand killed her 2 warders. I think it was like the night before. So she's been like 24 hours, hasn't slept. She's just pissed and just staring at that box. It's time for some more punishment for old Rando. And Arian's like, I want this opportunity. And Galina's like, I don't know if we should. Fuck it, go for it. Since it's both of your warders that die, so she lets her do it. And Arian fucking lets loose.
Nearly kills him.
Work through your anger, and you can have at him. So Arian takes over the punishment for that evening. We pop over to Rand's point of view as he is taken out of the chest by said Arian. She immediately begins to lash him with air. It's the go-to maneuver for the Aes Sedai. It's these air lashings. But Rand is like, fuck you, I am not going to cry, I'm not going to shout. He just clenches his jaw. He's Ailing it. I always confuse Aes Sedai and Aiel. This the names, not the people. Vastly different. Lews Therin is moaning and crying out for Ilyena inside him, but Rand is just like on the outside. Just like, I should never have fucking trusted these Aes Sedai. And he refuses to be broken, and he just forces himself to look at Arian right in her eyes and smile at her, which makes things worse. You're not helping your cause, Rand.
Nope.
But anyway, it's what it is. That just makes her more pissed off, and she just keeps on beating him harder and harder and harder. It's like so hard and so much pain that he loses his vision. He kind of blacks out for a moment. When he comes to, he thinks that he's tripping, like he's hallucinating shit because he sees Aiel Wise Ones. And his first thought is, oh my God, they've come to save me. And then he's like, wait a minute, one of them's Savannah. These are the wrong Wise Ones, not these ones. So he's like, all right, so the Shido
horrible wise
are now
ones.
The horrible Wise Ones. So the Shido have aligned themselves with the Tower Aes Sedai, which is just bad news. Like, you didn't think things could get worse, Rand? Yeah, it just got worse. Savannah kind of sidles up to him and strokes his face and everything, and like she has plans for this man, which we learn about later.
We see this deal get made.
Huh?
That chapter where Gawain meets the trader that tells him Rand killed his mum, like that's when Savannah and Tharava and the other Shido Wise Ones meet with Galina.
We saw it, but Rand is now seeing this for the first time and realizing, fuck, they've made a pact. This is no bueno for me. But he's holding on to the void. That's how he's getting through this, the good old void. So I mean, he's using his training from his dad, from Lan, from Ruach, from the Aiel in general. Just
from Luz.
Got it all. Thank God from Luz. Thank God he's got all these bonus upgrades to keep him sane through this. Well, sort of sane. Anyway, he knows that that Min is out there, so he's just trying to keep it all together and just, how can I get out of here again? Trying to think about a plan of escape this whole time, trying not to cry out. Luz is going off in his brain again. And Rand's like, listen, dude, just shut the fuck up. If we work together, maybe we can figure this out and get around. And like Luz and him actually start having like conversations. Luz is, admitting that Rand exists and giving him tips and tricks and advice. Talking about probing the shield, and he's got to wait until they tie off the shield, and then he knows how to break it. Like if they're holding it actively, you're not going to get out of it. But once they start tying it off, then you can start working at those knots, and then you'll be able to get out. It's like, shot. That's some handy information. Thanks, man.
If it's flexy, don't fixie. If it's flexy, don't fixie.
Yes. So if we got to wait for those knots to be hard, like once they tie it off, it'll be like a hard knot. Now it's a bit squishy bad.
It's going to make a rhyme good. With hard, but all of it just came out wrong.
Listeners, make your own assumptions here during this part of it.
Make your own rhymes with hard.
Yeah, so like Rand's like trying to find his way through the shield. He's got all these strategies and he's in pain and he's just thinking this is all fucking just absolutely crazy. And he just starts laughing. He can't stop. He got the giggles. Sometimes you get the giggles at the most inopportune times. This is one of them. He's got the mad giggles. All right, we hop back to Galena's point of view. We leave Rand giggling in the box. And she's watching the eye leave the camp. And then she's thinking about how Savannah in the future will fulfill her part of the bargain, which is killing Gawain and all the younglings. So Gawain's no fool. He doesn't trust these Aes Sedai, and for good reason, turns out. So she comes back after seeing like sending off the wise ones, and Arian is still standing there over Rand's chest looking at it, and she says that, hey, Rand is weeping. She can hear Rand weeping in the box, and she starts actually feeling bad because Arian is not a bad person. She's a stand-up Aes Sedai.
Is she feeling bad? I didn't get the sense that she was feeling bad at all.
She starts crying.
Yeah, but because her waters are dead.
She does.
No, I think she's realizing that she's being a giant bitch. Like, I don't know. Is Arian a red?
No, she's green, I think.
No, she's two waters.
Yes, of course she's green.
Definitely not.
She's got more waters.
And she has more, yeah.
About? She has more because, yeah. So
she says to Galena, he's weeping, right? Sort of like, he is weeping, right? Like that is what's happening. I'll go read it again, but I did not get the sense that she felt any remorse whatsoever.
Well, she never goes back to being the one that starts the torture. She doesn't. No. That's like her one time. I think she gets it out of her system, realizes that maybe she went too far. She's crying about everything. The whole situation is shit to her. That's why I don't think she's a bad person. Like her waters are dead and she's pissed about it, and she took it out on Rand, and maybe she took it too far. Well, not maybe. She definitely took it too far. I think like the whole situation is shit, and she never joins the Look at
Alana, how weepy she gets for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say that you called a woman that beat the Dragon Reborn unconscious and to the point of not having vision, not a bad person.
She feels bad about it now.
I want to extend an invitation to you to the dark side. Like, I want you to come over, come and dabble here with me. I'll introduce you to all the girls, and
Oh, no one told me there'll be girls. Oh, sure.
Yeah, Gideon.
I'll be right over.
All the
chosen. I don't know those girls. Hard pass on my part. Listen, I'm going with that. This is the impression I got, is that it's all just too much for her. All too much. Everything that happened. But anyway, agree to disagree. Galena's like, all right, chill out. Galena's also very nice. She's trying to soothe her friend. Okay, I'm not going that far. Tells her to go sort out the rest of your water.
Go get tea and
go back to your other waters. Go have a threesome or whatever you guys do together, you greens. They're also suffering. They can also feel the loss of these two dudes. So go hang out with them. You guys go soothe each other. But Galena's determined. She's like, fuck this dude, Rand. That is like, by the time we get to Tarvalon, Rand will be properly cowtailed, and he will be ready for Elida, and he will be punished from now on Every day, at dawn and at dusk. New plan. Constant punishments. All right.
Before you move on, Joe, when Galena returns to the box and Arian is still standing there looking over it, it goes, returning to the heart of the camp, she found Arian still standing over the chest containing Althor. He do be weeping, Galena, she said fiercely. Can you hear him? He do be, and then suddenly tears were sliding down Arian's face. She simply stood there, sobbing quietly, her hands, fists clutching her skirts. And then Galena tries to bed her, I think, by wooing her back to her tent. But she was saying he do be weeping fiercely. You know, like, I think she is still just cut up about her waters, and I think she is
emotionally, like, angry.
I don't think she's the crying in that moment. I don't think is remorse over what she's done to Rand.
Mm-mm. No, definitely not coming out of compassion.
Yeah,
anger.
No, look, I think she's just hearing his weeping. She now empathizes with someone in suffering because she knows how that feels.
And that's
she's
where
like,
I differ from you.
is...
I don't think that is it at all. I don't think she's empathizing with him.
I agree with Moritz. I don't think
Agree to
that's
disagree
there at all.
I think I have a
Two of
different
them
outlook.
today.
I believe that people are generally good. I see
Listen,
the good in people.
look, we know that's not true. And
Post torture depression.
Yes. Have you not ever experienced that, Moritz? I always feel shit after torturing.
look, she is at that moment just going through a normal part of grief in losing her warders. Like, you have the anger, you have the lash out, and then you realize that that didn't fix it. You're moving to the next step of grieving, which is despair and then acceptance, and however these stages go. But I think she's actually just gone from that one where she's just broken through, and now she's crying and realizing didn't fix her waters. But in that, there's no empathy for the man in the box.
In
Don't
fact,
mistake
Rand is
that.
not crying. Rand is laughing. I feel like she suspects
Laughing
he might be
maniacally.
laughing, but she's trying to say he's weeping, right? Like, he's weeping. Like, I did the thing. You know, he feels bad, right? No.
Yeah. Because she did ask the question, is he weeping? Like, if she,
Well, she says he do be weeping, right?
yeah, but they speak weird.
Yeah, no,
she's
she's
an alien.
Damani as well, so that doesn't make it. Not
do
Damani.
Do is an auxiliary verb for creating questions. I don't know.
But
This is
she
just how they
says
speak.
it more than once and breaks up the second time she says it. I think she's trying to tell herself and get confirmation from someone. Like, I made him cry, right? Surely he's not laughing after killing my warders. That's my read.
You guys,
Anyway,
but the two of you actively trying to convert me to the dark side. I'm trying to see.
I am.
I think it's true.
Don't
you
worry,
use
my
the word
chaplain might just
remorse,
get you there.
and I don't think it is present here.
Dark side. Gotcha.
I will now apply the word remorse correctly to a sentence. Jody has remorse for saying that.
I do be feeling remorse. Look, we can all agree that Savannah is fucking horrible. So let's
Yes,
talk
let's
about
agree
her.
on that.
We all agree there.
She's pretty foxy,
because she's foxy as fuck, but she is horrible. So let's go.
though.
Savannah.
Right up Billy's alley.
Yeah. So she's asking the wise ones, because she can't channel because she sucks. How the Aes Sedai had been holding Rand, and they're like, "Yep, we saw the weaves. We know how to do it. We can duplicate that because the plan is she is going to marry Rand." Like, how do you get
She's a crazy
to
person.
that?
Just
She is
move
very
along.
crazy. Like,
She's
how are you going?
mad
Are you
with
going to
power.
keep him shielded and tied up for the rest of his life?
She
Is
doesn't
that the plan?
understand how any of that works.
She wants to be like the prime next to the ruler of it all. She just wants power.
She
next
wants
her
to marry
and
the
have
Kara
power.
Khan. Yeah, because she married the first clan chief, or the first clan chief guy. He died. She married
And then
the
she
second
married the
option
fake
there.
clan chief,
He
and she
died.
says the fake one as well. And then
Yeah, well, she knew. She was in on it.
Yeah.
Now she's going to marry this guy. She just wants to, because she knows she's got to hang on to power, because she can't channel. She hasn't been to Ruidian. Her grasp on power is tenuous at best. But if she's married to the Kara Khan, she ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Even if she, I suppose, has to keep him shielded and tied up for the rest of his natural days.
She makes reference at some
is.
point to him being collared like a dog at her feet.
Yes, like that's never going to work. But anyway, right.
She's an idiot.
I digress. Yeah, so whatever. So at this point as well, she's like, all right, I don't need this small stone cube that a wetlander gave to me. She's about to chuck it away, but she decides, no, we'll keep it for the time being. So this is the one that...
It's a status
Samael.
box,
What's
right?
Samael? A status box. No, it's actually fucking nothing. But
Exactly.
it's a call, like something like, if you ever need me, use this, or when you've captured Rand.
When you've
call me
confirmed
using these.
Rand has been captured, use this to call me. Good thing she didn't. Because if Samael rocks up here,
Oh,
it's over for
That's
Rand.
the end of days. Thank goodness none of these stupid bad people's plans ever work. All right,
Because
book
they make
6,
plans
end
with
of
other
series.
stupid bad people.
Yes. So yeah, a bunch of stupid people, bad people are making plans, and anyway, so there she is. So they're standing around with all the other wise ones, and out of the blue, she turns to another wise one named Desane, and she says, "It's time." Desane's like, "Time for what?" And then all the other wise ones use the one power to tear her body to pieces with the one power. For those of you who are taken aback by what happened here, this was the plan. Now, the plan is to make it look like the Aes Sedai killed this
Desane.
Desane, so that the Shido will fight the Aes Sedai.
Right.
Because the Shido are also like, we're not fucking fighting Aes Sedai. We
Yeah.
may be Shido dogs, but we're not that doggy. But yeah, so she's convinced these other wise ones to use the one power to rip another wise one to pieces. Like, brutal. They must make it look like the one power was used. That there's no doubt that it was the Aes Sedai who did this, because the wise ones would never do it to one of their own.
And then the cold way in which she observes it is also just like shocking.
Do they pile the body parts up neatly?
No, but she looks with like
that-
morbid fascination and like, oh, I didn't realize the power can do this while this person is being dismembered with magic.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Interesting. I should take notes. So anyway, that's how the chapter ends. Thank God. I mean, not thank God it ends like that, but thank God it's ended. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, I mean, sorry, Joe, we interjected a lot there, but these last chapters are so dense with like crazy shit that, there's going to be a lot of this. But I think because of that, I don't really have many notes to add. How about you, Vil? Is there anything that you wanted to touch on?
I think we touched on the things actually quite nicely as it went through. A lot of it sort of spills over. That's going to go into other chapters. That's sort of the last things that I've got left. But I'm happy you drew that sort of Savannah's fascination, almost morbid fascination with the murder of a person using the one power. And then when we jump to Dumai's Wells and the Ashaman pulling in with waves of bursting corpses.
Waves of murder.
You've got Sulin and Nandera that turn their backs on it as Aiel woman. And you've got the Savannah, like really just sort of the character of the person. Like being either like the Maidens of the Spears being so fierce warriors, and to see blood is not a thing but to see that scene, like, no, we're tapping out, we're turning our back on this, we cannot see this. Not Savannah.
Is Savannah there? Is she looking on?
No, not
with
at
glee?
that event. No, so specifically with the murder of the other wise one.
Oh, you mean just as juxtaposed with the maiden's reaction to violence?
Juxtapose the reaction, yeah.
Speaking of Sulin, Perrin only knows Sulin as a servant, right? So we said Berelain does know Sulin as a maiden, but Perrin doesn't. So like his reaction and Dobrain's reactions to Sulin in that scene are hilarious, because Dobrain keeps saying, "Oh, this woman, like we need to calm yourself, woman. Just go be in the other room. Just go relax. Don't worry. This is stuff for grown-ups." And Sulin goes full maiden on them and starts like berating everyone. And I love that whole scene. But Perrin smells fear coming off Sulin, and that must be because she's obviously afraid for Rand, right?
Yes. She's not afraid for battle or Aes Sedai that took him. Not a chance.
No. But she
afraid he
wails.
might
Fear
die.
They
and
took my
shame.
first brother.
It took my
I didn't
first
want to use
brother
the word whale in my summary, although it is written there. Sulan wailing, just to me, doesn't. Those two things don't gel. But
Also,
yeah, just to show her anguish.
It's cool how they've always spoken about the maidens and how they either treat Rand as a son or a brother or something. It's cool to see Sulan, who is old, she still looks at Rand as a brother, not a son. So I feel like maybe many episodes and chapters ago we thought about whether Sulan might view Rand as a long lost son or a brother. But here we have it in writing. They took my first brother. It was also telling to me that Perrin is, in the previous episode, he's walking through the street and he picked a dude up and moved him out of his way or knocked another guy over. And here he's shouting at Berylane. And I mean, it takes a lot for Perrin to raise his voice, right? Like the slow, steady, quiet, beefy boy is slapping his hands and shouting, get out, get out. Like he's freaking out. So it's just another a cool indicator or like a suitable reaction for someone that is genuinely pushed to the edge. Like he is stressing out big time.
Oh, well, he's also married to Fael. That's not
Being
helping
put
the
through the
situation.
when Berylane sort of advances on him in that weird tango of
Dance,
chess
yeah.
dance that they played around the table around Poor Loyal, he turns on her and sort of pokes her like really hard with the finger in the chest.
In the chest.
Then he realized like what he's done, and he's like, "It's still
Oh no, boobs.
the feast of there's boobs there, and they're exposed."
That's where the boobs are.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't covered herself up yet. She's still following him with pats hanging out.
Sticking with Perrin, like he doesn't know that the wise ones can channel? Surely he must. I mean, he was in
Look,
the
he grew up
spend time
in a
with him.
small town. No, he was never in the West. He was on his own little mission. He doesn't
No,
know about
he-
Aiel,
he-
about
all
wise
he
He
ones.
was in the
knows
stone.
You know that.
is yeah, but
He was in the Stone of Tyr when the Aes Sedai, when the Aiel were all there.
But the wise ones do not take part in battle, so he would never see them channel.
I guess not. It's just, yeah.
I mean, Gaul and Bain and Chayad wouldn't tell him because they don't talk about the wise ones. It's wise ones' business.
they
would never
might not
mention it
even
to him.
know. The wise ones don't advertise that they can channel. No.
yeah, exactly.
And like, even I'm surprised because at the end they took 94 who can channel. There were 94 in Kyrian alone. Holy shit, man!
But Perrin does think
That's news
of...
to me.
He does think of Soralia. It's RJ says that he thinks of Soralia's tiny flame as a declaration of war louder than any trumpet call. Which is pretty cool. It's like, okay, so the wise ones are
That's
coming
fucking
in force.
Sulan, man.
Right.
Sorry,
now,
Soralia, not Sulan.
All
I've
right.
got a very important question around
Oh, yes.
that 94 wise ones that's going in. Since we've raised it, I thought we'll bring it in now. They,
Sure.
through Egwene spending time with the wise ones and her training, did she ever impart on some of her training that she received by force of the Shongshan, using the power as a weapon specifically? Like, could that have happened? Because, I mean, it's not something that you think they'd be trained in because they don't fight. Wise ones don't take part in any battle. They could walk through any battlefield. Therefore, there would never be the need to use it as a weapon. Like, I can channel, but what do they really do with it? They don't really ever do much with it.
They're pretty quick with a fireball. Even Avienda.
So fireballs was there, and you could think that, but I'm just thinking, like, did Egwene say, like, okay, cool, you're giving me some of yours, let me give you some stuff that could help you protect Rand or help you if this thing goes
I don't think they need
south.
it. I don't think they need it. Avienda and Wise Ones were killing Shadowspawn out in the waste before being... Oh, that was after Egwene was captured. But I mean, they weren't like that far down the track yet. They know what they're doing with the power as a weapon, yeah. Certainly seems that way from their readiness and ability.
Their readiness and their abilities to do my wells stipulates. I mean, there was fireballs and lightning running down from all parties, which sort of took me down the rabbit hole where and when would they have learned that? Because no Aes Sedai would have taught them that in this period of time. That's not even a way that that would have happened. And the only one that they've been in contact with has been Egwene. And she is well versed in the wrecking of people by the means of the power as being forced to do it as a Damani or as a...
Yeah. But I mean, characters we read about are casting weaves and stuff for the first time without anyone showing them anything. Rand channels lightning in the eye of the world. I think
for me, it's just,
certainly precedent. There's a talent for discovering weaves out of nowhere.
Yes.
Nynaeve has done it. The other channelers can do it as well.
Well,
once one has learned it,
argument was that if that wasn't there, was the time enough for them, like the 94, that they were talented enough to be able to see the weaves of a fireball coming and saying, "Gotcha, okay, I can do that," and then throw a fireball or lightning. I mean, that is plausible. It is something that you can say is definitely
they were at a great distance, so they would have to see the weaves from a very far away. So I think it's all moot. Like, I think they just know what they're doing. Like I said, they were, when the Hold got attacked by Drakkar and stuff in Shadow Rising, they were throwing fireballs with gay abandon, right? Like they were not holding back or looking put out at all.
Okay, I can accept that. Moiraine was also there. Wasn't Moiraine thrown?
I'm sure they might have exchanged some tips and tricks that off screen, off page.
Maybe. Did Egwene have enough time to teach 94 wise ones how to use a specific weave? Maybe.
No, look, dude, they've been in the waste for 3,000 years. It's a long time to learn shit.
It's generations of Aes Sedai, and they live Aes Sedai, of wise ones, and they live for a long time, and knowledge is passed down. One person.
And look, they were there in the beginning with Aes Sedai. Remember the flashbacks? They built Rhuidean, the Aes Sedai. Those two Aes Sedai that turned to paper eventually and disintegrated. They were so old. Those guys must have taught them something. They were channelers then.
To whatever they were called at the time, to what the ton.
And those were Age of Legends Aes Sedai. So they knew some shit.
Wouldn't have the ability to channel and keep it separate from the Aes Sedai? You'd go into the tower and become Aes Sedai then. You're like one of the servants' children.
There was no tower.
After the breaking.
There wasn't a tower, but there was
during the breaking.
Aes Sedai University. Like this normal kid born to the mutants with just one eye. Like something. They can advance.
Sure.
No Chora tree for you.
Random people learn random weaves by themselves. That happens. We've seen it happen multiple times.
Right.
So I don't think it's that hard. My last comment here is one that I mentioned before, where Rand thinks it to himself: this comes of trusting Aes Sedai. Never again. Not an inch. Not a hair. This comes of trusting Aes Sedai. And later he also thinks, I think, along the lines of all Aes Sedai. So he is grouping Nynaeve, Elaine, Egwene, all the Aes Sedai into the same bucket. Like, I can never fully just trust you.
Very
this is a
interesting
shit
that
time
the
for Catherine to show up.
Yes.
She had come just a little bit earlier.
The words that Rand use about, like, specifically never again. Like, it's very
Not a
much
hair.
words Lewis used in his head. Louis. His mate Louis used in his head.
Don't trust
time.
him.
So that's now coming out of his mouth. It's very interesting.
Old Louis going, I fucking told you not to do this. I told you. I told you to
so.
kill them all. I've been saying it for fucking years. Kill them all. But no.
We're going to be careful with like giving everyone like South African nicknames, because now De Brain for me is De Brain.
De Brain. Is that his first name as well? His name's like De Brain van Staden.
No, Sergeant De Brain is going to look after you today.
All right then, so chapter 54 is called The Sending. Send us down the home stretch, Jody.
I'll send you to hell. I did it twice. In case you didn't notice. All right, Perrin, Gaul, Loyal, leave the palace at dawn. They are making maneuvers, off to save some Rand. They're making their way through the streets of Cairn, as you know. Loyal is attracting some stares. They're heading down to the docks. Of course, they need a boat. Everybody needs a boat all the time for some reason. So it's difficult to get a boat right now because everyone's drunk. Everyone's partying like crazy. But you flash enough gold and all of a sudden ferrymen appear out of nowhere to ferry you across. And there's oarsmen as well, and everybody's there. Like the ferryman that they get is actually got a noblewoman on his knees who has her shirt off making out with her. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave you for gold. And she first like, oh, well, fuck you. And then she's like, oh, well, whatever. And she just leaves. And she goes and finds another ferryman to go and make out with. So no harm, no foul. There's no commitments during the Feast of Lights. Perrin's still dwelling on Fail. Forget her, dude. She didn't kiss him goodbye. Ooh, that's never a good sign. No. Never leave on a death mission without kissing your wife goodbye.
I mean, what does the bloke expect? He just pushed his fingers into Berline's chest. I mean,
in her boobs.
You know,
he was poking her boobs. Like, dude, that's why. Anyway, he can't figure out what's wrong with Fael. He's like smelling her emotions, and it's just a bit of everything. I can't figure it out. I don't know what the fuck's wrong. Do you guys know what's wrong with her?
Yes.
What is she angry about?
She wants him to become almost hand violent with her, to slap her and tell her to get her jealous sense out of herself and pull herself in line. That is, he needs to put her in her place. And what he's doing every time is putting Berlane in her place. And that is the disappointing part. She wants to be treated like a Saldaean woman. And she wants him to put her in her place. That's why she smells disappointment every time he's hard with Berlane. Like she smells hurt and disappointed that it's not her that's getting that treatment. Which is their very weird fantasy relationship with weird
It is
stuff
super weird. So what Villy's saying makes sense to me, Joe, but that's certainly not a conclusion that I came to by myself either. I'm just sort of like hand waving it like Berlane and Fael being Fael and being all weird about the relationship.
A big key about it
makes sense,
is parents' ability to smell the mood or the emotion of a person. And if you and it's every time when he was the first time when he threw Berlane out somewhere or was hard-handed with her, the scent of disappointment wafted from her. And every time, and this one's greatly so, that he's now slapping his hand and threatening violence and poking fingers and threatening how he would handle her. Now she's even in that she's just like, that's what I want.
That's what I want.
Like,
yeah.
That's what I want you to poke me with your fingers and throw me down and say, you stop this behavior.
She wants a good poking.
Line.
That'll sort her out.
I am loyal to you. I am your man. And you're being a stupid little wench. So get back in your box. And then he gets in the box with her. And then they wrangle. That's what she wants.
Okay.
All right.
That's. I mean,
I
did you not see? Have you not
regretting
gotten that T-shirt? Being to
asking
Saldaea,
this question.
these women like this.
They do indeed. Thank you, Villy. And to any children listening to this podcast, I apologize.
Also, turn off this podcast. What are you doing?
What are you doing
No,
here?
chatting on the
Episode
Discord.
60-something.
Some of our listeners were like, thanks for making a family-friendly podcast, because sometimes my kids are in the room while we're listening, and I was like, family-friendly?
Oh, no.
This is not what we're going for. But anyway, every family's different. Maybe they're Saldaean families.
Yeah, they'll be listening.
Anyway,
Let's move along.
Let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. All right, so they get across the river, obviously. They've got the ferryman, and they're in what used to be the granaries. Remember the granaries, guys? Yeah. There's no more granaries.
Nope.
There's just burnt ashes. All right. There they are met by Nurel and Dubrain. They are ready to rock and roll. They've got their dudes all assembled. They hit the road, and then a mile or so outside, or a league, who knows. They are joined by the rest of Dubrain's men, and also 500 of Dubrain's men, and they're also joined by 200 Mayenners.
Mayenners.
I'm going to put the
mayonnaise.
They're joined by 200 mayonnaise. So around midday, say 12 p.m., the rest of the crew joins them. We got Ruach, we got Sulin, we got Nandera, because they can run faster than the horses. So they've really got a head start. They catch up by midday. They're there. They have got 5,000 Siswayaman and 1,000 maidens. Ruan's like, he had to forbid the maidens, all of the maidens from coming. It's like, no, you can't. All of you come with. Also, he didn't want to arouse suspicion. If you take all the Aiel out of the city, someone's going to go, what the fuck, bro? Something's up. So we don't want to spread fear and panic that Rand is missing. And also, he didn't want the bleakness to claim even more Aiel. Like, we followed the Kara Khan all the way out here, and now the Aes Sedai have kidnapped him, like. So, Ruach, smart man. He's made plans.
The way to go. And maidens.
Absolutely.
We'll take these crazy fuckers, and then, of course, the Siswayaman. Play words. Anyway. Amis and Sorelia also join them. Even in their skirts, they can run as fast as fuck. They don't care. I mean, Sorelia's what, like 400 years old? That's no barrier. And this is where they tell them, like, no, it's cool. We've got some wise ones. 94, when I say some, all of whom can channel. And I'm thinking that Sorelia is by far the weakest of all of them. Or not by far, but probably the weakest. In the one power, but not in sheer strength of character. No. So Perrin says, all right, dudes, we've got to fucking move it. We've got to catch up to Rand as fast as possible. So, hey, everybody on your horses. Aiel, start running. Off they go. They run the hard day. I think they make like 30 miles or 40 miles or something crazy in the first day. Sure. At night, they take a break. And Perrin's like, all right, let me pull out my wolfiness, which I'm glad to see finally come out again. Because I do love Perrin and the wolves, man. Probably the best power in this entire book. So yeah, he seeks the wolves with his mind. He sends out some feelers, and he asks them some questions. And of course, there's a whole thing about they don't understand what Aes Sedai are. They don't know what meters and kilometers and leagues are, and whatever. They just send messages. He interprets them. But anyway, they give him the Aes Sedai position, more or less. They're like 60, 70 miles ahead of them. And they ask, like, well, why do you want to know who these people are? And Perrin tells them, like, oh, well, why do you want to go and look for shit? Because they know what Aes Sedai are. Don't go looking for shit with those guys. And then he tells them because they've caged Shadow Killer. And the wolves are like, they did fucking what? So they're like, we come, brother. Also, greatest line in all the books.
Very cool.
Every time I read that line, I get goosebumps. I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to come too, brother. Anyway, so the group continues. That sounded weird. Edit that out. The group continues.
You triggered Vinny.
The group continues. Just mute him.
Family friendly,
They're
right?
traveling for days. Traveling, family friendly. 4 days. There they go. They're on their way. So now he's been missing for 6 days. And they've been traveling for 4 days. Okay, so we're like 10 days since Rand has been taken. And the wolves are coming. Every night, he's talking to the wolves, and he feels more and more of them like joining up. Some big wolves, some small wolves, old wolves, even wolves he has never met before, wolves that didn't even know he existed. And they're like, it's just a whole big wolfarama.
Yeah, like different breeds, like mountain wolves.
Yeah.
Timber wolves.
Plains wolves, yeah.
Yeah, plains wolves, the Iberian wolves, the Siberian wolves, everybody's there. So yeah, along the way, it's been a couple of days now. Like it's not all rainbows and fairy tales and unicorns. There's a lot of tension in the camp because remember now we've
Like,
we've mixed up.
There are no rainbows and unicorns and fairy tales. Not all that. None of that.
Not all of that. It's there's Aiel and Kyrenian, if you recall. They don't have the best history together, and they are all together in this camp. This is no bueno. And there's also tension between the maidens and the Siswayaman, because the maidens are like, hey, the Rand is ours, and the Siswayaman are like literally spears of the dragon. They're like, well, we want in too, So there's none of that. Nandera and Sulin actually come to blows. They have a physical fucking punch-up, which Sulin wins. Of course she does. But still, leadership remains with Nandera, because Sulin was, remember, serving some time.
Very interesting, like, play down between that in different meetings with the brain
Yeah.
and where Sulin speaks and where Nandera speaks. And then they like 2 days later, they see Sulin and Nandera like absolutely going to it. No knives, no nothing, just belting
hand to
the shit
hand.
out of each other hand to hand. And then, okay, whatever they had in their like hierarchy system that wasn't working out is now settled, but they still speak at the same
Yeah.
level. So I don't understand what was being resolved.
Well, Nandera comes out on top isn't in the leadership, but Sulin comes out physically as the winner, but still
Yeah.
that doesn't change anything. It's still like
Sulin? Sulin wins that fight by smashing
Yes.
Nandera's head into the ground
Into
until
the
she
ground,
stops moving.
unconscious, and then she picks her up and carries her away. Like,
Yes.
what is
I
happening
mean,
here?
that's just common courtesy, Villy. I mean, after you've smashed someone's face into the ground unconscious, you at least carry them back to their tent.
Yeah,
It's the Aiel way.
it is.
So anyway, Nandera is supposed to be the leader now because Sulin had all that time off. Someone had to step up. Now she's not giving up that power. There's a power struggle. There's also a power struggle between Amis and Sorelia. They don't come to blows. They go apart at some point. They have a little conversation. And when they come back, Sorelia's in charge. Like, I didn't see why that would have to be discussed. But Amis is also trying to claw her way up the hierarchy of the wise ones.
I think that after that conversation, Joe, Amisa's profile does actually rise. Like,
Yes.
Sorelia
She's
does
clearly
concede some
second.
points to Amis, yeah.
Yes, but she's clearly second in command. Like from now on, if Sorelia's not there, it'll be Amis, I think. Because everyone just defers to Sorelia anyway in any situation.
Yes.
Whenever wise ones get together, she's in charge. No one asks questions.
Any humans.
Even the wolves be like,
would
"Oh,
I
fuck,
go
said,
a little
"Die,
bit further than
clan
that.
chiefs."
I think the moon asks Sorelia's permission before it's a full moon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So anyway, tensions everywhere, power struggles. It's great. But anyway, it all gets pretty much settled. So they've been out for 6 days, 4 days. How many days? Shit, I don't remember. It's the 7th day now, right? And on the 7th day, no one rested.
Nope.
Because Perrin receives a sending from a wolf named Halftail, aptly named, I imagine. And there's some humans coming. And then you read that and you think, ooh, they're there. No, not those humans, different humans. From the way that they describe it, Perrin's like, no, I recognize those banners and how you're describing them. Them's my people. So an hour late, he rides out to go and find them. And then like an hour later, they hook up and it's the Two Rivers men. Old Daniel's there. Old Daniel. Ban. The whole crew. They've got Perrin's banner. They're there to join the party. He's super stoked to see them. But, oh, dear Lord, there's also some Aes Sedai there.
Nice.
There's Verin, there's Alana, Mirana. Ugh, Aes Sedai. They have to stick their noses in everywhere. So anyway, they there as well. Luckily, they left the Two Rivers girls behind. Didn't bring them. Good move.
I think
Perrin's like,
Bera and Karuna sent them with some of the other Aes Sedai from the Saladar embassy, right? Like when they divvied up the people. Yeah.
And it was...
did they send them back to Saladar?
Don't know where they sent them specifically.
Because that's making a choice.
to follow it back to Salidar, and then they're going to, from there, have to redirect to follow them to the tower for the...
Yeah, because there's no one in Saladar
Yeah.
right now. Yeah. Sending them back to an empty town. Oh, I'm sure there's somebody there.
They'll
Well,
have a
hear
little
rumors.
banner up, like a forwarding address.
They'll hear rumors of the army moving north. Maybe they're like coming south
Yeah.
from Camelin to Saladar. They might actually run into the army.
If they're using the major roads, which
Yeah.
they are, because they're trying to hit all those towns doing recruitment drives. They're campaigning.
Yeah.
They're on the campaign trail. Yeah, they'll definitely run into them. Whatever. That's important to note, though, if they're choosing Saladar above the Tower Aes Sedai. That's...
Well, it was the Saladar embassy. Bera and Karuna, Alana and Verin. They were Saladar people in Camelin. They weren't going to send
From
them
the
to
beginning,
the tower. Everyone in Camelin was Saladar strong. They were all rebels.
No. Verin and Alana came from the
Yes,
Two
but-
Rivers with those girls.
but they joined
had
the
no
Sal-
idea. They hadn't chosen.
But they joined the Saladar Aes Sedai in Camelin and had all the conversations,
Yes.
stayed in the same crown of roses. They joined with that group. That's why they're with them here. Bera and Karuna take charge of the entire group.
Yeah, okay,
And
that's
they
right.
tell
that's
Verin and Alana where they're going to go because Bera and Karuna are the strongest channelers, more so than Verin and Alana.
That's right. Yeah. look, a lot happens in these books. I have made some little notes about the major events that happen in these books, which we'll cover at the end of this. If you expect me to remember everything that happened,
I am trying desperately to remember all this stuff. Like, I'm actively trying to integrate everything I'm reading here and all these people in there. And I mean, it's impossible, but I will continue to try.
Aren't we all? I think that's the reason for recording all of these conversations. This is the point. This is the way. So, all right, yes. So they've met all these people. The Aes Sedai are there. The Two Rivers people. All of them. Perrin's like, actually, come to think of it, how the fuck did you find us? And they're like, no, we know how to get you. We're Aes Sedai. We have our magic. But of course, it's Alana using her bond with Rand to follow him. So they've been tracking him using that. But they're not going to give that information away just all willy-nilly. So the Aes Sedai, like, that group is like asking Perrin, like, well, so where is Rand? And he's like, no, he's still a few further, he's further to the north, probably a couple of days' ride. He's been kidnapped. You see, he gives them the lowdown because they don't know. They're just following Rand. So he's like, well, you're welcome to join my group, but I'm in charge. I'm in charge, Phasma. I'm in charge. So it's Perrin who's going to lead it. Perrin leads everybody back to their party. The Aes Sedai are as close-lipped as ever. As tight-lipped, I suppose. Anyway, we just invent our own sayings here.
We do.
About how they tracked Rand. So there's like lots of information coming from Perrin's side about what's going on, what the plan is and all of that. And the Aes Sedai are just not saying anything to anyone. Perrin is also like checking out what's going on. So in their group, they've got all these little power struggles, and he can sense or smell, I suppose, that in their group, there's also a little power struggle going on between Bera and Karuna. Although he thinks that, wasn't it Mirana who was in charge of the Saladar? But he's not privy to that information. So yeah, power struggles everywhere. Little subtexts and little...
Yes, there are subtexts, and he knows it was Mirana that was the leader of the Saladar embassy.
Yes.
But now he senses from her a feeling of, what is it, resignation and something else. Anxiety and resignation. And she reminds Perrin of a low wolf in the pack.
Yeah. Someone that's been put down.
Because he's looking at that wolf pack and he's thinking, I thought this was the alpha. No, alpha's been put down. There's two more fighting for leadership. So we have another Sorelia Amis fight going on here between Bera and Karuna.
Do you think it's that? I think Bera and Karuna are chummy. They were novices together. I think they were pillow friends. Like, they are really close. I don't think they're jockeying for position. I think Perrin just doesn't know who is in charge, and even when they address the Saladar embassy and Varen and Alana and stuff, they speak as one, Bera and Karuna. I think they're a pretty well established duo, Joe.
So this is just like a motive
disagree.
around the Aes Sedai. If you haven't picked this up yet, they team up together, and then they get 1.5 times XP the level of their channel ability. It doesn't quite double
form
up.
A party.
They average out, and they can do 1.5, and then they
share their XP.
That's the rank. Yeah, they share their XP.
Yeah, unless they find some artifacts that boost that XP, which they may have already.
That comes after the fact. That's like an after calculation.
They have to break a chest open.
This is all for the level of authority.
All right. No, but look, Aes Sedai do not share power. Somebody in that group has to be the leader. So even though they're buddies, if you say who's the leader, someone's going to have to stand up, and both of them want to be that leader.
No, between the two of them, it's just like who feels like standing up. Between the two of them, it's not a.
They've figured out their power between the two of them already.
Okay, if you say so.
I think
it's just.
I think so. Yeah.
You have to stop buying beer on special there in Spain. I don't know what you're drinking for that cheap beer.
It is the cheapest beer I could buy that I like. So, yeah, you are right. On this one, you're right, Billy. All right, back to Perrin. He is just stoked. He's stoked to be back with old Daniel and Ban and the other Emmonsfielders. So there's a little silver lining over here. Moritz is reading the book, trying to find lines to discredit what I believe. I'm just letting the people know.
So I'm looking for clarity.
Okay, so time flies. Time flies when you're having fun and vying for power, because it's 10 days after they've left the city. And Perrin receives a sending from the wolves. He must hurry. There are many humans. And that's how we end. Because we are there. We are there, people. We are there. And Willie is now Willie's going to tell you some chapters after this. After Moritz finds some lines to discredit my beliefs.
Do you think the wolves here are alluding to the Shido that are also right around the corner?
Everyone. There's a fuck ton of humans up here. 2 legs everywhere.
Yes, because even Galena and the Aes Sedai and younglings have not at this point heard about the Shido yet. So they're not together.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wolves know.
No. The wolves know everything, man. Moritz, what have you got for us? What lines...
Nothing
from the novel.
There's no mention of any kind of power struggle between those. Only of Marana, who is now because Perrin knows factually that she was the leader of the Saladar embassy, but now she smells like a low wolf. That's the only mention of any kind of power struggle in that team, and it's not a struggle because she's resigned. She smells of anxiety and resignation.
Yes,
that's Marana.
But you can't tell who is the leader, Karuna or Bera.
No.
So I'm just assuming by Aes Sedai-ness that they are like one of them has to be the leader.
Even when they meet with the other Aes Sedai, where like the Aes Sedai picking order is front and center, right? Where Marana realizes, oh fuck, these guys are taking over. Even Varen could have taken over. She acquiesces to their demands and stuff as well. Bera and Karuna speak as one the whole time.
I think that is the thing that overrides Varen. Because between this, Varen is quite powered up in that sense that if Varen and Bera, or I think it's Varen and Karana, could easily face off, and then Varen would, through ability, gain the upper hand. But I understood it because these two of them are together that they sort of ride and control.
Bera and Karuna are both stronger channelers than Varen.
Oh, are they?
They were the 2 strongest channelers at Saladar.
Oh, right.
And that's why they were sent to the waste.
Seems wasteful to send your hardest channelers away.
Well, they're not preparing. I mean, they weren't at that point preparing for war. This is before.
Yeah,
remember, Bera and Karuna left before they sent an embassy or anything. It was early days. We hear Rand is in the waste.
Early days.
Was
they
also old news.
Turn around
and they've been friends for decades. They were friends since they were novices. They were raised to accept it together. I think they were raised to Aes Sedai on the same day or something as well. Like they are thick as thieves. Anyway, did you have any other notes on this chapter, Willem, before I plow through my little...
No, I think I'm noted out on this one. What do you got?
Loyal, walking with his axe over his shoulder, is making Perrin look jolly. Like, as they're striding through Kyrian, Perrin is like, he's got a grim expression on his face. And then the description of Loyal walking with that huge axe across his shoulder, like the grim expression on his face makes Perrin look jolly. And Joe, what was it?
Yeah, look.
Was it the Sean Chan or someone made a comment once about like, don't draw down the anger of the Ogier because if you do, good fucking luck to you.
I bet you're paraphrasing there, I assume.
Big time. Big time. I could also, truth be told, be imagining that completely.
No, I don't think it was the Sean Chan that said it.
I think
it might have been.
Did we? I
but
mean,
they
we were talking
whole,
about the gardeners.
Guard or
the Death Watch Guard. That's right. Yeah.
But I don't know if those are the Ogier detachment of the Death Watch Guard. They have a special name. I can't remember. I think the Death Watch Guard aren't they just like badass?
Callbacks.
Sean, fuck.
Aren't some of them called the Gardeners or something like that? Like a weird sort of ironic name. I'll find out. Don't worry about it. We don't have to figure it out yet.
Dude, stop asking me questions.
The naming of a pretty long-running character happens in this chapter. Perrin's new horse.
Ooh, I know this. Was it Stayer or Stepper? Stayer. That's right.
In this chapter, Perrin thinks like, oh, this horse isn't really like Stepper. It's much more of a stayer. And then later he refers to the horse without thinking about it with a capital S as stayer. So like in that time between having the thought and then thinking about the horse again, he decided he's going to call it stayer.
This horse is not known for speed, but for stamina.
Exactly. Yeah. I looked it up. What does it mean, a stayer? And that's exactly what it means. Perrin doesn't even wonder why everyone is following him. So it was interesting that like it's written from Perrin's point of view, but it's not Perrin, having a thought about, all these Aes Sedai and Aiel wise ones and clan chiefs and warriors and everyone, they're all just following my lead. But he doesn't even think about it. He's just assumed leadership, and like back in Kairin, before they even left, when he was ordering Dobrain and Sulin and like everyone around, he took charge immediately and no one questioned it. They all just go along with it, which is awesome.
Because I think when he meets these Aes Sedai, when he rides out to meet the Two Rivers, and he says like, you can join us, not we will join you. Like if you want to come with, you can join my group.
It gets even better.
Grateful for it.
It gets even better because as they ride back, Bera and Karuna ride on either side of him, sort of like giving him the spiel. This is the layout. This is how things are going to go. Blah blah blah. And they keep telling him basically. Eventually, they tell him, in Perrin's words in the chapter, it goes, not to set one foot in front of the other without asking them for permission. And then a little later, Bera starts getting what they call a little vexed that he won't repeat the words back to them. So they're like blabbing in his ear the whole time about everything, and he's just going, I'm not even taking any of this in. Like he's just total ignore, and then like, so you understand what I'm saying? And then just nothing from him, and they're like, okay, you're gonna listen to us, right? Nothing. Okay.
Don't agree or disagree, because then you can never be, you said.
Don't even open the door.
Shit.
No.
You assumed some things, but that's about it.
Perrin meets a couple people or he refers to a couple people that he'd met, like refugees and stuff that had come to the Two Rivers that had encountered other men that turned into wolves. 3 of them at least, and 2 of them, you could tell from what they were saying that they experienced something very similar to what he and Elias and, that other guy in that town experienced as well. And these people, both of them, kept giving him gifts of garlic. And they didn't go outside at night. It's a vampire thing. What are these people?
I didn't get that. I was really, and he enjoyed the gifts of garlic.
He enjoyed them, yes, which he said he enjoyed immensely, but he didn't understand why. It's just weird that these two people, so like Robert Jordan is drawing attention to this fact, and I don't know why, because that's not even anything to do with wolves or werewolves or anything like that. It's like a weird vampire thing. Anyway, food for thought.
I don't recall this at all.
It's a throwaway line, so this is me just diving in deep, right?
Yeah, okay. That's what we do.
There's another moment here where Perrin thinks to him 13 Aes Sedai could threaten to still Rand if they attacked. You mean gentle, right, RJ? Again, with the I mean, you could write this off as Perrin being ignorant, but I don't know. That's very ignorant, and I don't know.
I don't have my Kindle here. Maybe it's a difference in versions.
Maybe.
I'll check it out.
What else? Oh, we see a reappearance of Urien, our first Aiel that we met back in the Great Hunt. He's here. He's second in charge to Rourke, I think.
He's a good man.
Yes. The smells that I think you touched on this, Joe. The smells that Perrin gets from the Siswai Aman and the maidens is jealousy from the Siswai Aman and fiercely protective sense from the maidens, obviously.
Yeah.
When Perrin wants to go off to go meet the men that he's pretty sure are his men, judging from the banners that the wolves have described to him, Sulin says to him, we should come with you. I don't want you tripping over your pillow and falling on your nose. And Perrin recalls that that's something that actually happened in his rooms, and he wonders what other quote-unquote cudgels he had given Sulin while he thought she was just a servant. Like, what other stuff did she observe and she's going to use against him? So she actually saw him trip over a pillow and fall on his face.
Dude, be worried. She saw lots of shit.
She did.
She's told everyone.
And just like, she sees, when Perrin sees the people coming from afar, and says, don't worry, I can see that they're fine. Sulin turns to him immediately and she just goes, seems yellow eyes see far. Yes, Sulin, correct. Again, nothing gets past her.
And Sulin's eyes see everything.
Yeah. Perrin, with his sense of smell, can smell outrage and fear from the Aes Sedai behind their totally calm, serene Aes Sedai masks. It's just cool to like have someone that can see beyond that facade. They always project this image of cool serenity, but Perrin can smell fear and outrage beneath it, which is great. That's all I had, Joe. We can now continue to the pièce de résistance, chapter 55.
Oh,
Are you ready, Vil?
piece of resistance.
That's me.
It is. So chapter 55 is called, obviously, Dumai's Wells. All's well that ends well, right, Vil?
Oh, come on. No.
I think it's pronounced like the French would say, Dumai's Wells. Yes.
Hey, I need 2 words to work with here.
The last
It was well done, Morris.
chapter.
Well done.
One of them is made up.
Dumai's Wells.
Please take it
named
away.
after the 3 wells that is on a small outcropping. And I thought it's best to give you the lay of the land. We've got Perrin pushing from the south, heading north. And they are clearing, in my mind, a ridge. And they are going to come over the ridge and see chaos down this cropping that is below them, where there are 40,000 Shido dogs surrounding a couple of wagons with a few on fire. Gosh, this reminds me of Blood River all of a sudden now. Wagons.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of people charging with assegais. It's interesting. Anyway, so
Very much
seeing
so.
is
There's no
said-
river
Circling the
though.
wagons
Where
is a
else?
legit tactic.
Yeah, legit tactic. So, we start this chapter off with the point of view of Galad. No, sorry, not Galad. He's not even there. Gawain. Gawain is on the move, and he's been very poorly treated by the Aes Sedai. The younglings have been pushed to the rear, and on many occasions even instructed that he should maybe lead the scouting party, to which he felt certain he would not return if he goes. So it's he's sensing the danger around those Aes Sedai that is there. He is not happy and does not consent with the treatment of Rand. He only learned a few days into the journey that Rand was actually prisoner to the Aes Sedai, and openly did not agree with the torturing. And I mean, this is a guy that he still believes killed his mom, but he still doesn't agree with it. So it's quite a good character.
He's a good guy.
Running, I suppose. Yeah, he's a good guy. Now, we still have a reminder that it's hot and sweaty. The weather hasn't changed and all of that. We didn't touch on hot and sweaty yet tonight, so I thought I'd throw that in there. Gawain reminisces about the letter and everything that he said to Egwene, and that plays into the promise that he made that he will not raise a hand on harm Rand. He's promised to Egwene, and he wished he could see her and say love and all the other things that go with it. And then his love thoughts of his niece-sitting Egwene is broken by a rider that is running at them, but the rider is sort of doubled over on the horse, and it turns out old Benjen has returned from his scout, and he has been speared with enough life left in him to give Gawain some glazed eyes and say, "Shido, Aiel, thousands surround everywhere. Tell my mum I love her." And falls off the horse, dead as disco. So Shido has encircled. Gawain goes to Defense 101 and orders the wagons to stop, pull up in the log, and get ready. To which Kalina comes up and has a little hissy fit about, and Kalina has a little bit of a word off, and he's like, "Well, what do you think? You want to take this chance?" And she concedes to "Okay, well, maybe this time we're just going to play it safe." Good thing they did. Point of view. Rand the sweaty and smelly is in a box. Sweaty and smelly. Rand is not stoked. He can feel
The end.
Alana. The end. Rand is really not in a good place. I mean, okay, we've been through the torture. We've been through everything he has endured up until that point now. So I'm not gonna repaint the picture of his mental, physical, and his state. But he can feel Alana, and he writes it off to being fancies, like delusions. He is having loose cackling in his head. Things aren't going great for him. But he still keeps fumbling and feeling at the 6 points, the 6 soft points, and adhering to the instructions of loose. Don't press when it's there, like just wait. So he's testing it. The chest moves. Wagon stops. Rand prepares himself. He knows what's coming. This is now a couple of days into my morning, noon, and evening love teaching, whippings, whatever you want to call it, that's going down. So he pretty much readies himself that it's either going to be Galena, Arian, or Katarine that's going to come at him, and he's just got to brace himself for that. But the chest doesn't open. And eventually Rand gets so frustrated that he's screaming, like, let me out. Like, it's supposed to the fact that there's a bit of reprieve in being let out for a beating. You still get to stretch if you doubled over in some Houdini box. At that point, he starts sweeping and he snarls at Luz to help him, only for Luz to snarl back at him to help him. And the two are having conflict. Point of view change.
Having a snarlathon.
We are a snarl.
Snarlception.
Settle down, Jody. We point of view Perrin now. Perrin Ibarra. 1 mile, 1,600 meters away from a lot of action as he clears the little hill. That is wagons, ale, ratios, very unfair. It's 40,000 Shido dogs with at least 250 wise ones channeling by the estimates of what Aes Sedai can feel. Because we know how many Aes Sedai in the wagon trail that Rand is boxed in. Is 30-something and 23, I think it captured in the end. So the Aes
Sedai
close to 40, isn't it? Yeah, no, 23, 36, something. Anyway, not 100, not 50.
No,
below that. We can agree on that. So they're thinking there's between 200 and 300. So channelers are outnumbered 3-1 off the bat in this, but also they're not all fighting each other because now there's 3 factions. So it makes it a little bit dirty the water. But the Shido is not expecting anyone to come and take them on. So the surprise is there's a lot of benefit in surprise that we'll see now. Perrin spots that now there's fires at the wagons and battle is not a clean battle. I mean, the power is being used. There's lightning, there's fire, there's burning men. So not good. The wise ones at this point in time smell concerned. Like now you can sense, okay, if Cerelia smells concerned, you must know, okay, this is pretty serious business. Now, Karuna is convinced that at this stage, the best thing for them to do is that they be part of the battle. Perrin wants to do the defend the woman thing, stay back with the 2 river bowmen, they'll protect you. You're not going to go into the battle, but he's going to go into battle, and he forms 2 groups formed out of the 2 Rivers Bowmen and the Mayan Wing Guards, and they're going to set it up. Obviously, De Bruyn and his 500 cavalrymen are going to ride horsey pony and spear some Shido.
Horsey pony and spear some Shido.
Perrin gets the sense from Karuna that she wants to back out and tells her that, look, I don't care what you're doing, but I'm riding into that. You can ride south. To which she's replied like, oh, well, I'm happy to hear that we're on the same page. So I don't know if it's a bit of weird sort of exchange that.
Karuna smiles, doesn't she? She's like, she gives Perrin a way out, and he goes, there's no fucking way. I'm going right into the middle of that. And Karuna grins at him. She's like, yeah, me too.
Perrin makes the call that both Stepper and Speyer is not going to do in this battle. He's rather going to run in, holding on to De Bruyn's horse, taking big leaps with an axe in his hand. Something you picked up from Loyal, maybe along the travels. But
Maybe.
anyway, yeah. That's the descent. Now, Bloodlust Aram is
Jeez,
there's only 3 sentences written about him in Dumai Wells, and all 3 of them are creepy as fuck. Like, it's like he's wearing a smile,
doubt.
and he's like all ready just to go and murder. So it's like he's ready to go murder. The shadow is pressing now really hard on the wagons. It's fireballs and lightning, very, very frightening.
Nice one.
Right. The advance is on. It's pushing on, and the meters is being count down. It's like 800, 700 yards, 600 yards. Like
It's them
they
pushing
hit
in on the Shadow's backs.
on
Like
the
Shadow aren't
Shadow's
even looking
backs.
around.
No,
Yeah.
they
No
are
one's looked
focused
back yet.
forward.
No.
You got
Exactly.
600, 700 horse and 1,000, 5,000, whatever I yield behind you coming in at full pace. Maidens,
6,000,
still
if you count
upset.
them.
Yeah, that they got to wear armbands to identify them as good maidens over
Yes.
bad maidens. But it worked in the end because they fought side by side with the Sisawa Aman, which could have, a lot of maidens' lives were saved through a little bit of identification work there. Good on you.
But the identification was for the benefit of the wetlanders. The maidens
Yeah.
expected everyone to just be able to tell them apart from Shadow maidens. It's for the
Like how?
wetlanders.
The
so
Shadow
wetlanders
would've.
yeah. So the Aiel do
Everyone
notice.
on that battlefield would have known,
Hi. Yeah.
except the 500 of De Bruyn's men and the 200 Mayonnaise. That's it.
Yes. And the two rivers longbowmen.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, don't
the
shoot
two
those
rivers
guys.
longbowmen decide at the moment when they hit 300 meters. The brain gives the answer or the instruction, lances down, the charge is on, and it's not the type of thing. The cavalry will advance at a trot. These guys are full tilt. Shido hasn't turned their back yet on the fact what's coming for them. It's slaughter. Right. 300 yards. By 300 yards, the two river bowmen is loosing a second arrow. The first arrow haven't even turned in the air.
Yeah.
And they're going for a third one. So you got 3 looses of arrows,
Volleys.
500 arrows, 1,500 arrows coming down on you all of a sudden with 600 horsemen with society sticks that's going to come and spear you. Great. I love it.
Hey, but look at those numbers.
Perrin.
40,000 versus 1,500 arrows. This is not enough arrows, guys. More arrows.
You're
Let's go.
assuming every arrow kills.
Jody,
Yes.
I am so happy you brought that up. That at this point, I do the
Donata.
mental math. I'm like, there's not enough numbers here. This battle cannot go in their way. I mean, still, 40,000 Aiel is 40,000 Aiel. This is not an insignificant force. This is where Perrin says it is time. Come. As he's taking giant strides and he reaches out to the wolves, 1,000 wolves come out of nowhere, out of every low-lying branch and grass. Timber wolves, big wolves, mountain wolves. And as the Shido decides to hear something and turn, they are met with not just wolves jumping into their faces, biting their faces off. The dogs are fighting the wolves, and the wolves are showing the pups where to piss. But also a bunch of society stick carrying lancers, horsemen, charging in between the wolves, and Perrin and Loyal and Aram swinging blades like crazy. It's a mad scene.
The Aiel and the Carinian are described as a spear of Aiel that are obviously meant to pierce the Shido and get through, right? Because, I mean, I imagine the Shido are like in these sort of concentric rings around.
Yeah, they're like
the
around.
dome and the wells themselves.
Into.
So the spear is, like a sperm hitting an egg, trying to, penetrate all the way from the outside. And then the Carinian are described as the hammer of the cavalry. So like the spear coming in from one angle and then a hammer swinging in from the side and smashing them from the side
So
as
like
well.
washing them, like just cleaning out where you've already, like just get away the dirt. Anyway,
It's fucking cool.
Perrin decides to remove humanity and the recognition of humans in this and likens the Aiel to bramble bushes. And his axe is just clearing a way through the brambles to get. And it's so apt. I mean, I was going through brambles just today fishing. Like, I would have loved to have an axe to clear.
You're fishing
away
in the wrong
brambles.
place if there's brambles in the way, dude.
Did you imagine the other
You
way
gotta
around?
fish in
Did
the
you
water.
imagine the brambles are Shido?
I could not imagine that. I would have died. But brambles are quite the challenge for me at my age.
Yes.
Okay. Forget about the brambles because Perrin is mowing
Okay.
down and he's trying not to recognize whether it's a maiden or not. He doesn't want to think whether that axe that goes spike first into the face that it cleaves in half. He doesn't want to know what they are. All he wants is to get through them to that inside and get Rand where he's at. Now, at this stage, the brain is thrown from his horse by a lightning strike, but he does survive. But Perrin is just like resigned to the fact, like from explosions on the side, like you're getting up and you must go on. There is no stopping. He is going now. He realizes Karuna and the waters are in between them, so they didn't listen. They just anyway they in the battle, and good for it. It was needed. A few water blades is very handy in between a, a couple of fistful of eels.
Not just water blades. Karuna is described as with her face serenely unconcerned, strode as a queen of battles down the path carved by her 3 warders. That is awesome. Like she's a green, her warders are carving, and she is walking unfazed. She is, what is the King of Arafel's sister? Like she is she's a noble, and she is walking like a regal battle mage down this path of dead bodies carved out by her warders, just flinging fireballs and shit off to the sides and killing everyone around her.
Battle
Get
mage.
going.
She's thinking, this is the reason I joined the Greenage.
Yes.
Go, motherfuckers.
Battle.
It's great.
That's it.
It's a
Fighting
cool
time.
image.
Yeah.
Then comes my favorite word of this chapter, thunderclap, because it's a Dungeons and Dragon reference spell.
It is.
Oh, it's great.
Does everyone take 2d6 sound, what? Bludgeoning damage.
Everyone takes bludgeoning damage. In
I take half
comes
damage, remember?
a gateway. Gateway slices men, horse, everything in its way in half. And out jumps a black-clad man that gets immediately penetrated by a spear. So the other black-clad man's like, okay, cool, maybe we should be coming through with a little bit more caution. But they do come through, and it is the Ashaman. They have decided to pull in through gateways through time learning of this event. Exploding heads starts popping around as these men come out of their magic door. And Perrin is faced with the reality that these guys are using the power and doing what Rand is going to do to the knots, except they do it like into the mouth and then into the brain, and then they burst their heads. It is pretty grim. It is rough.
Yeah, it is grim. I remember reading this stuff the first time and going, whoa.
Yeah. Now, at this stage, Perrin is at that. All he can hear is his own blood pumping in his ears because he's that tired. His heart is working that hard. And the only sound over and above that is that of Loyal's breathing, which is still fighting with him. You can't hear Bloodlust Aaron because he's triple stabbing a guy to death in the back. I just wanted to make sure he's dead. Point of view change. And we are now with the Rand, the yoga master, who is still flexed. Downward dog style in the box. I don't know. I don't know if downward dog is flexed like that, but he's downward
More like
and
a
feeling
child's
like
pose, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's feeling like a down dog at the moment, so it's apt.
Yeah.
He is feeling, and all of a sudden he's hearing commotion, and one goes hard, tied off, and he's like, "Ooh." Even that sort of gets loose, like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, two, three,
what's all
four.
this now?
And it's like, oh, and Lou's like, oh, no, mate. You got to wait. Let it swallow the bait, mate. Well, you got to wait for it, mate. Just don't strike yet. And Rand is like, nah. I need to set the hook on this one. And he starts feeling at this hard knot. And at the atomic level of space, he gets his feathery feelers through the knot. And then at the finger touch at the other end of the knot, you can feel the one power. And he flexes. And the first knot's broken. And that the shield is down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy's like, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. The other two. And then Rand's like, this is the time. I've got to do it now. And immediately he focuses on the next one. They did feel it. He broke one and another one rejoined. And Rand's like, okay, I've got to go faster. And he starts breaking knots left, right, and center. When he gets to the point of now just all the tied off knots he's broken. He's got 3, and he just gets in there, and he pushes and he flexes, and boom, he breaks through. The power flushes into him, and as he breaks through, my theory, not the holy text, Luz lashes out with weaves of spirit directly at the 3 soft points. And Rand grabs weaves of air and explodes his box. Either which way, the result of that is 3 stilled women, 2 of them lying unconscious and the other one pretty much lost her mind outside the box.
It's stated that Rand specifically uses spirit to crush them.
No, it's not stated. I
is.
know it's not, but I think it's loose.
No, I'm saying it is stated. No, it is. Let me read it to you.
Consult the holy text, Brother Maynard. Willie, continue.
All right, now, as Rand gathers himself, after being flexed in a box in the downward spiral position, you take a little bit of time adjusting. Firstly, to the light, you're surprised that it is actually still daytime, which Rand is, and also that he is in the midst of battle. But over and above this, the first thing he sees is 2 downed Aes Sedai that he can't recognize, and one screaming maniacally, holding her head on her knees, which he immediately recognized as, all right, she's just dealing with the effects of being stilled, and then searches through the rubble, and there he sees Min. Rushes over to Min. Oh, please, Min. Let me not have killed Min breaking out of this box. Still not really recognizing what is going on. Rolls Min over, and her eyes is like a little bit glazed, but and that's the point where you think like, oh, Min is dead. No, Min's not dead. That's just people tugging at your heartstrings. She's like, oh, Rand, you're alive. I can't believe it. I thought they killed you, and all the rest. Little bit of talk about gateway mechanics there, because she's like, okay, well, get us out of your sheep herd and make one of your magic holes and take us away. But we need a little bit of gateway mechanic explanation that it doesn't work that way. We need to see the lay of the land first. But during all of this, Rand recognizes the fact that, oh, I'm hearing steel on steel. I'm seeing Aiel. I'm in the middle of a battle. Maybe running isn't the right thing to do, because he recognizes that there's friends that he sees. Mayana, the winged god of Mayan. Like, okay, there's definitely people, including Asherman. The battle has been joined.
Well and truly.
So Rand sees all the players on the field. Min becomes, at this stage, his literal crutch, not just only his psychological crutch, which is later on, and carries him to help him on to see what is happening. She refuses to take cover. Now, Rand, you've got the Asherman moving in on the wagons. All the focus of everyone that is in the wagon circle is outward. So he has the exact same advantage on the Aes Sedai that they had on the Shido, and Rand uses this to great effect. First, he takes out Arian. and he purposefully just shields her, ties her off, and knocks her out with air because he wants to know that it's him that's stilling her when he stills her. Like that is
Yeah.
quite a vicious like thought. Like I don't want to just take the most important thing that you have in your life away. I want you to see it's me doing it while it's being done. That's
Yeah.
quite rough. Then he takes out Katri and then Serena Nemdal. So he takes out three of them, and everyone's thinking this is involved. No one's realizing that, hey, Rand's out the box, out the back. He's busy taking you out from there.
Because they can't sense anything because he's
No.
channeling Saidin.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Min cautions Rand to take it a little bit easy, like don't push it, they're gonna see you. But Luz in his head, the backhead guy, is going, get
So, fuck that
Galena!
noise.
Get Galena! Fucking Galena, mate! That's the one you want. And yeah. But fireballs now seem to lessen, lightning seems to strike at less frequent rates, and the appeal is now encircled on the Ashaman and all of them. And in this is also still Gowan and his younglings riding around. And Gowan spots Min and tries to convince Min that like they need to get out of here. Come with him, and Min's like, not good. I'm gonna stay with Rand. So Gowan rallies his younglings to basically cut a path out to retreat. And this is the retreat of whoever survived. They escape in that youngling sort of retreat. So now we've got Ashaman moved in. They have shielded the Aes Sedai that are part of the Tower Aes Sedai. They have also created a dome barrier of air between themselves, 200 Ashaman, and the Aes Sedai, Rand in there as well, with very few other people, but including the ones that's come in there is we've got Perrin, we've got Loyal. Do we have Ruach in there or not? I can't remember now.
I think he's still outside.
I think he's still outside, yes.
Because they open up the shield, not to take more of your time, they open up later on. It's because there's so many of the good guys still out there.
Yes.
And Rand's like,
So
open that shit up. We got to go back.
Taim then apologizes to Rand, saying, well, sorry I broke the rules of attacking Aes Sedai, but considering the situation, it was kind of required.
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess.
So Taim has arrived.
Taim has now arrived. They've made their dome around the wagons. So very nicely pointed out that there's even a hole for the smoke to escape. There's always a chimney hole. It's like chimney hole.
I was about to mention that.
Why? Why?
Because the wagons are on fire. They saw the wagons are on fire. Like,
I mean, like,
we got to let the smoke out.
It's necessary.
Okay. Necessary.
Yeah.
Rand notices Perrin and Loyal, as I mentioned there, but also that there's a tinker with a crimson blade wearing a smile.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Aram, okay, not good. Dobrain is still going as well. Nandera and Sulin is in the circle as well. They are the first maidens to make it to Rand. And Rand is super stoked to see Sulin back in Karansaw and sort of, okay, cool. Good on you,
Yeah,
finally. I'm happy that the charade is over now.
Yes.
Time is of the opinion that they made safe. We can keep this like this till this all fizzles out. But Perrin is like, hey man, so many people are dying for you out there. This is not right. This is definitely not right. And Time is pushing this point like that. No point. If they die for you, they die for the dragon. There's casualties in war, type of thing. Perrin says, if this is going to be the case, you open up for me. I'm going out there so that I can at least get to a Mies in the Wilds and tell them that you saved and that they can retreat instead of dying here. And the Turev, and it's like Ban and Dane, and he names all the names of the two rivers bowmen that's there. Rand then does decide that something should be done, and he tells Time like, hey, I told you to build me an army, show what they can do. And
He does.
yes, Taim
Yes, he
gives
does.
them the
Okay.
instruction
Confirmed.
to raise the invisible barrier by 2 spans. So they still have cover over here. So they're coming out from just basically undercover. The shield raises by 2 spans. Rand realized the 9 Aes Sedai that's in the circle that's pushed through. Now, this is Karuna and all of the rest. They are all shitting themselves with fear at this moment. They are all holding on, and he expects them to be. Time issues the instruction to his Asaman to kill. Not just clear a path, rally, or anything. It's just like, kill. And they do with great effect. And Perrin tried to warn Rand and said, like, Rand, I see what these guys can do. This ain't right. And Rand's like, war is war. And they do
It's not pretty.
the not exploding thing with rows and rows of shadow as they push forward. And it's just corpses. Now, at this point, Perrin turns around and he spews. He's like, I've had enough of seeing this shit. Like, people exploding. It's not how I want to spend my Thursday afternoon. I've decided this is a Thursday.
This is clearly a Thursday.
This is that Thursday shit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Sulin and Andera turns their back on it. They don't empty their bells. Rand has to swallow, but he doesn't look away.
Their bowels? Yeah.
Okay, that came out to empty their gut.
Didn't shit themselves, but they didn't vomit either.
They didn't shit themselves, and they didn't vomit.
You're not wrong. They did not empty their bowels.
They didn't do any of those things. It is becoming a wall of dead meat. A couple of layers into the shadows push towards the wagons. They realize that this is not a fight that they're going to win. And other than retreating, they actually throw down their spears and scatter. Like, they are well and truly broken by that meat grinder. But
Yes.
it's not over, because throwing down your spears and turning your back on the Ashaman is not enough. Ring of fire! Oh, sorry. Rolling ring of earth and fire is the instruction
Yes,
Time
please.
throws.
Let's be specific.
And then just exploding grounds in like circles that would emanate from a rock falling in a pond, with fire coming out of the ground, just burning and destroying. And it's hell on earth. It's not pretty. Rand says, stop. Like, okay, cool. They're retreating now. Like, we're not murderers, I suppose. Can you kill a retreating soldier? Is it still war? I don't know the complexities of.
But it's specifically portrayed here as being gratuitous, right? Like, Taim
cool.
at the head of this killing force is a bad idea.
Yeah, it's sending very bad omens already. Warning flags, red flags at a first date has been waved.
More. Just throw them
More
on the
red
pile
flags.
over there with all the other red flags.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so Rand had to use his own trick of one of Taim's own things to his voice raised above the chaos to stop this. And then
after he lets one more ring out.
Yeah. One more ring
so
goes.
Rand says stop, and then I'll let another one go, and then stop. Jerk. Because those rings, if they are solid rings, would not differentiate between Shido and Siswa Aman
it would just kill
Loyal Maidens, right? Like, it's killing everyone.
Yeah. It's like blood ring around these little wagons in a circle burning. It is Blood River all over again. Rock is alive. That is, the Shido's on the run now. They are running like the dogs that they are. Min is weeping, which is completely understandable and logical at this point in time, because I would be weeping in my own vomit if I had to endure any of that.
Would you have emptied your bowels?
Possibly.
Tell me you won't shit your pants at something like that. That earth is eating people. That is the most apt time in the world to ever shit your pants. Not in a McDonald's somewhere in the southern city, South Sydney, fucking Everglade or wherever. Like, you shit your pants at Dumai's wells. That is the most appropriate time for a manly man to shit his pants. Anyway.
Yeah, totally agree.
Now, Bera and Karuna sort of speaks up to Rand at this point in time. Says to him that they came to rescue him. Like, Rand doesn't take this lightly. He's like, I said
Speak to the hand.
6. You brought 9. Your place is with them. Pointing to all of the Aes Sedai that's down on their knees as prisoners now, being held by the Ashaman. So he doesn't
Or knocked
differentiate
unconscious,
now,
lying on the ground.
or screaming stilled into the air. To which other Aes Sedai, when being brought prisoner and seeing what's happened to 3 of them already, starts vomiting as well. Like, oh shit, we're not just captured, we're going to get stilled right now. It's quite a big fear that they have there. Massive.
Sure.
It's terrible. Rand tells them that he forgets nothing. And as I said, told you 6, you brought 9. And it is time for you to kneel. And Taim steps up and says, kneel to the Lord Dragon, or you will be knelt. And the winds of mist blows over the valleys of times, and everything goes down, and several stories emitted. But what we will learn from that day is that on a day of fire and blood, the Aes Sedai from a broken tower and not kneeled to the Dragon Reborn. And it's a epic end to a terrible, terrible, murderous chapter.
Yes. Whew. There it is.
Dumai's
It is indeed. Willie, take a break. Go get a glass of wine. You deserve
Take a
it.
nap.
Go empty your bowels.
Go empty your bowels.
I'm going to drink this water because I'm out of wine now.
So, Joseph, what did you want to add there to Willie's summation?
Nothing. At Melkirikon, I was on a quiz. We had to make groups, and there was just a bunch of dudes that got together, like 5 of us, and we called our quiz name was Ashaman Quiz.
That is very good.
That's all I can add to this.
Excellent.
We lost
Oh no.
terribly.
Ashaman, quiz better.
Ashaman, crap. We were really bad.
Oh no.
It's a one-line instruction for emptying your bowels. Ashaman, sharp.
I've got some
We
little
shot at the bed.
little bits and pieces here. Nothing too extraordinary. So I'll try and go through quickly so we can get to the epilogue and then talk about the book as a whole. Vil, you mentioned that it is quite odd or interesting to me that we start Dumai's Wells, like a chapter I've been building myself up to so long, and then you start with Gowan. You're like, oh, okay, I guess.
This guy.
All right. But then he actually he carries himself pretty well in that section with Galena, because he stops the wagons. Galena comes back and she wants to shit at him all the time, and he says to her, blah, like, we have to do all this stuff. If we want to survive, we should do this. And only after he'd finished speaking did he realize that he'd been shouting at her. And this is, I mean, Galena, known man hater, not just because she's a red, but she like despises men. Black Arja, like zero empathy, like a heartless bitch, that we know. And she actually listens to him. Like, he shouts at her, and then she goes, yeah, maybe. Okay, this time it might not be unwise to listen to your counsel, sort of thing.
Is Galena Saldaean?
No, I don't think so. But that's a good question.
Just checking.
Maybe she
Yeah.
responds reflexively to that kind of comment. I'll add that to the callbacks. I'll find out where Galina's from.
Yeah.
When Gowan's thinking that he'd kill Rand, because you said before, like, he didn't know that Rand was even in the camp or anything. He would kill Rand, but he is deeply disturbed by what they're doing to Min, because he's already saved Min once. When Swan and Min and Leanne were escaping from the tower, Gowan was the one that helped them, and he's willing to help her escape again if the warders drop their guard. You know, like he's thinking to himself, he would actually go against the warders and the Aes Sedai that he's serving to help Min escape again, which is great to see from Gowan.
Good.
Joe, I think you mentioned this, or was it maybe Willie, that Gowan has noticed that Galina is always telling him to take his younglings and go inspect potential danger. He's very much noticed that Galina is trying to put him in harm's way on purpose. He's not an idiot.
According to the Wheel of Time wiki, Galina Gaspan's nationality is unknown.
Ah, okay.
We never find out about her.
All right.
Which is weird. We normally find out about where everybody is.
Mostly,
That's
yeah.
like part of their description. Anyway, we don't know about her.
Dobrain asks Perrin if he means to go into that mass to get Rand. This is after they've crested the hill and they've seen all the Aiel and everything. And Perrin just nods and Dobrain accepts it and just says, okay, we'll go in, but we probably won't get out. And Ruach also just nods. Yep, we're going in there.
And has a little tender word with the Mies. Like,
Well, he mutters it
see
under
my
his breath
shade
and
of my
Perrin can
heart,
hear it. May we find shade again or something like that.
yeah.
May we see the sun rise together, shade of my heart, is what he says. But he mutters it under his breath. He doesn't even go over to Amis to say it. He just mutters it, and Perrin can hear it because of his wolf hearing. Let's see, what else? Loyal is at the head of the Kyrenian, along with Aram. So, like, that hammer that hits them from the side, Loyal is at the front, him and Aram, like, busy just laying into the Shido. Aram is dancing with his sword, laughing as he's killing Shido.
That kid's fucked up.
Yeah, he is messed up.
Oh, he's mess.
When Dobrain is knocked from his horse, he starts laying about him with his sword. Like, I mean, he's not fighting kids here, right? This is not some wetlander battle. Dobrain must be able to handle himself because he's fighting Shido warriors.
Yeah.
And he's been unhorsed, so he is pretty adept with the sword, you have to imagine. Perrin at one point catches a spear with his bare hand.
And
Like, he catches the spear blade in his hand and he gets real cut and he's just like, ignore it, I will go. And then, Willie, the part you were talking about where Rand stills the three sisters, it's as soon as the power floods him. As soon as the power fills him, he reaches out with flows of spirit to the three soft spots and he crushes them. And like I imagine it, like he imagines like crushing them in his fist. And immediately after that, Lews Therin is saying, they will pay. I am the Lord of the Morning. And that's probably what makes you think like maybe Lews Therin did the crushing. But I think it was Rand.
It's a real Darth Vader moment. You know, like,
Do you know what is
Yeah.
the thing that makes me think that it wasn't Rand?
What?
His reluctance to still Arian and saying that I want her to know it was me that did it. Look,
But Arian wasn't actively holding a shield on him. Like,
yeah.
No,
it's a
the others,
different
the others
situation.
knew it was him.
The others
So-
would know.
Erin had her back turned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will know that. Okay, it's him that broken through there.
And also, he is still actually actively trying to get out from the shield. So he has to act now. He can't wait until later to do it. Right now, he needs to do it. And maybe even this time, this is the first time he's ever stilled someone. Right? Like, he just lashes out with spirit and he crushes them and he goes, oh, maybe that's stilling. And then later with Erin, he's like, okay, well, this time I'm going to take my time. She doesn't know. I can just knock her out. And,
See, that's also
Make
why
her
I think
indisposed.
why it was loose, because he doesn't know how to still. Like, anyway, I'm just
okay,
saying
that's not a reason because Rand can do a lot of things that he's never done before. So the actual words are, the power filled him, and as it did, he seized at those three soft points, crushing them ruthlessly in fists of spirit. That's Rand.
he.
Yeah. As the power filled him, he reached out.
Jody. What does Jody think?
Can I abstain again?
Okay.
I'm not getting involved.
I'll move on. I noted here that Rand still makes the distinction, like when he's talking about all the people that could be dying out there, especially maidens. He still hasn't let go of that thing. Like he still holds them as this like special fragile thing that he needs to protect. Or maybe not that far, but you know what I mean.
No, but I mean, I think that is so well set up, like how we, or was it if we thought it's Aisha Jean that said it, how they are set up to be this heartland, like
Yeah.
just good conservative guys. Like,
Old school.
mm.
Rand notes here that when Taim arrives, he's not wearing the sword or the dragon. Rand pinned those on him in front of all the
on
Ashaman.
him, and he took it off.
He took it off.
And he arrives with his coat that is embroidered with
The
the
dragons on his arms.
up his sleeves.
Yes.
Yo, another red flag.
Added to the pile.
On the
there.
pile.
Added to the pile.
There's a section here when Gawain comes up to Wyn and he says, "Come with me." And she goes, "No, I'm going to stay with Rand." Gawain and the younglings ride off and Rand lets them go. But an Ashaman looks like he's about to attack them. I think it's Gedwin or one of Time's loyalist guys. And I think Rand stops him and then he sort of like turns on Rand and also, much like that guy back at the Black Tower that time, wants to go at him, and Time intervenes and he goes, "No, you will not strike at the Dragon Reborn." And Gedwin is another Time loyalist, and he participates in the attempt on Rand's life and that whole farm-adding hunt down of rogue Ashaman. So keep an eye out for Gedwin. He's a bad Ashaman. Same with Torval. Torval is that guy that approached Rand when Rand came to the farm by himself, and Rand said, "No, and Torval's the guy that got clubbed in the head by Time." Gedwin apparently also later becomes very friendly with Wiramon, who is a dark friend. So all these things make sense.
All these things line up in the end. All the stars align.
Yeah. Rand notices when he gets out of the box, the only tower Aes Sedai that came and kidnapped him that he can recognize is Nezun. And she actually begs to be allowed to swear fealty to Rand. And this probably happens in Crown of Swords, because I think that book picks up literally at Dumai's Wells during the aftermath, right? Like it's all still
Even
happening.
you pick up things before Dumai Wells now.
Oh, there we go.
Still get explanation, yeah.
I've started reading that book, and that prologue mentions nothing of Dumai's Wells and takes 400 years to read.
Jody, don't the prologues always not mention anything that's to do with anything and take 400 years to read?
I think this one is just by far the longest prologue I've ever read. It's just like it never ends.
But Nezun is the only Aes Sedai from the Tower Embassy that he recognizes. So she's Tower loyal, but she turns out to be a good Aes Sedai. She actually sides with Rand and stuff, which is really great. And that is all I have to say about Dumai's Wells.
I think we've said a lot about Dumai's Wells.
We sure have. So now there is one more chapter for us to say a lot about, although it probably won't be that much since it is just an epilogue. An epilogue called The Answer. So, Willie, what is the answer?
The answer is quick 4-minute discussion to get out of this book. We're done with it now. Phalian received a letter. If you don't know, Phalian hangs out in Ibuda at the moment. And she got a letter that they gone. And that is referring to our girls who have mastered the art of the disguise, finally, and is not just evading Matt and his men, but also the Black Archer, which is quite good to know. It's good to know as well that this person, Phalian, is under the instruction of Mogideon, who has been able for a number of days, much to the pleasure of her minions.
Months.
Here at Fel, we jump to. He is having a sit down in his library or book room or whatever, and a golem ends him. To be discovered by Adrian. No, not a Grolm. Grolm's a frog. Golem is a murderer. Grolm is something else. Anyway, he's discovered. So poor Herod, he's dead. We've got a mystery rider leaving Ibuda, that reminisce on the fact that the place is rife for looting and for the return, and even the daughter of the 9 moons could come. Now that we know who that is Sunshine Madness, and some foreshadowing of what is to come. We jump to
We know who that man
Mogideon.
is.
Who is that man?
He's the seeker for the truth. That Sean Chan guy that was bugging Agianan, the blonde guy with the tattoos.
So, yeah, the blonde guy that got dealt in Tarabon, wasn't it?
They were in Tenchico?
Tenchico, that's right, yes.
Because he mentions the daughter of the 9 moons, yeah, because he was in the bar that Matt mentioned.
In our last episode, we didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, that was him. And Matt said, like, oh, maybe there's something with the daughter of the 9 moons. The guy was like, choked on his wine or something
beer, yeah.
and then left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
His name is Elmarat Moore.
Yeah,
Elmy.
Elmo.
What's up, dog?
All right, we
Elmo.
jump to our
He'll be Elmo from now on.
favorite girl, Marigan, who is not been having a good time between the bracelet passing between Egwene and
She can go fuck herself.
Swan. Hey, settle down, Jody. Jeez. Feeling so-
Now I must not disrespect your dark mistress.
Hey, strong words coming from you there about a lady. Relax.
All right.
Anyway,
Sorry, Mogideon.
while Mogideon, Marigan, is reflecting on this, some woman in the dark sticks her head in there and starts channeling, but it's not channeling. She can't feel it because she can still feel it, even though she's wearing the Adam. But she announces herself as Arangar. She recognizes her as Halima, but Arangar comes to free Mogideon and also deliver the message like, I'm not just freeing you so that you can go and hide for a while. You better make tracks to Shangul. You've been summoned. Oh,
You're in trouble now.
Never, like, maybe, nah, you know what? Leave the bracelet on. I'm just going to stay here for a while. I think I'm a little bit better off. Anyway,
we
jump
lot better
to the same area but different person. Egwene has now discovered that Marigon is gone. Chessa has discovered that Egwene has left her rooms at the night without a double night shift, and it starts fretting over it. And Chessa's now looking after Egwene, and Mogideon is gone. So trouble there. Then we jump to the last little bit of a mention of some other guy named Demandred, who is on his knees at the pit of doom, and who is not feeling shame that Shadar Haram can see him whimper and cry, because he's there to admit to the Dark Lord that he did not do well. Wonder how that's going to end for him.
That's not
the opposite.
That's not how I read that at all.
No, his wording is, did I not do well?
Have I not done well, great lord?
Oh, something, yes. Like he has done well.
Has he?
The great lord's laughing.
But what? What has he done well?
He's been Tahim this whole time. That's what he did.
No one guessed it except every reader.
Now we won't open
even
that
they're
can of worms again. But yeah,
No,
we've
but
been down it.
that question does ring hollow, right? Like, have I
Yeah.
not done well? Like, it would be great if we could see. Okay, so if Taim is not Demandred, then what the fuck has Demandred actually done? What is the point of that line? Like, how did he have a hand in anything that transpired in this book?
Maybe he defeated the worm and he got the...
Sakanen, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
errors in the holy text, and you got to apply your mind and saying that this is actually him saying like, hey, I haven't done well, I've been off the scene, I've been hanging out at the Rahat a bit, and the drink is stronger and the woman is more attractive. I'm sorry, I haven't done well.
No, this is him saying, have I not done well? That's not how you say that. I have not done well is how you admit that you have not done well. I think he's asking, hey, look at the cool stuff I did, right? I've done well, right?
Anyway, we'll leave that cliffhanger right there. the end of book 6.
Yeah, let's see how things turn out for old Demodred.
Things go well for him for a really long time.
They do. That is it. So I've got 1 or 2 notes on the epilogue. Go figure.
Let us have him, Martz.
All right, I'll do them quick. Thalion is one of the Black Archer sisters from Leandrin's group. Last we saw her, they were in Amador, in Amadisia, where Margidian sent them all on missions, and Margidian had sent Thalion straight to Ibudar to search for a cache of Angriel. So my gripe about the Forsaken not looking for Angriel is addressed here, because that's now some time ago. She is later shielded by a Forsaken and handed over to Millie Skane, who is a Darkfriend assassin we know from the Eye of the World. Remember that fox-faced lady with the dagger that tried to kill Matt and Rand in the stable? Later, Thalion is given to her. Like, she has a shield put on her that is meant to dissipate slowly over time. And this Millie Skane, Darkfriend woman assassin, has a whole other backstory of her own. Like, she started killing people when she was young, and there's this whole other thing. But that it was just when I was reading about Thalion and Ispin, who are the 2 Black Archer sisters that we read about here. I came across that little tidbit. And I was like, cool. Okay, so when we read about Millie, that's who it is, the lady from Eye of the World. And then my last note was the Almarat Moor one about the Seeker for the Truth.
Elmo. Millie, Mogi, and Elmo. What a team.
All right, now we can tie a nice little bow around this book by talking about, firstly, what are your favorite moments from these last couple chapters?
You know mine.
And mine, Joe. We share it. I stuck with it.
That's cool. I'm willing to share.
Rand killing those warders.
I wanted to be diverse about like favorite moments and choose something different, and I just can't choose. I don't know. I just do might as well. It's like, but
all of it.
No, because it's kind of rough. Like, it's not like. So you got to think like, okay, cool. What is favorite moments there? Loyalty of Perrin, not just to Rand, but loyalty to good people, and how he pushes that. And I think that continues this argument trend that's going to build up between Rand and Perrin. So yeah, that's Perrin is my favorite moment in Dumai. Cool. Perrin is my favorite moment.
Everything about Perrin. No?
Yeah, calling the wolves, going into battle, smelling everyone's emotions and giving us a backdoor into what people feel. It's his whole playing out. Yeah, it's just perfect.
Taking charge of Aes Sedai and soldiers and Aiel, catching a spear in his hand. Like, yeah, he is kicking ass and taking names, Perrin, left, right, and center.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a couple honorable mentions. Sulin dropping the Serving Woman Act and telling everyone in the room exactly how it's going to be. So including like Berlain and Dobrain. I just loved the fact that she said, okay, that's it. Done now. Get me cadence or get me fucking scissors so I can cut my hair properly. And then also when Perrin, in that room still, when he decides that he's going to have to go save Rand, Perrin goes, I must go alone. And then Loyal's response to that is, not alone. Never alone while I'm here, Perrin. Which is fucking cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Loyal. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting...
His name is Loyal.
Yes. Does what it says on the tin. I've got goosebumps just like saying that line. And then, the battle, like everyone in the battle, even Karuna that I sort of like expounded on a little bit earlier, her striding through that battle like serene and just unfazed by the total chaos around it. I mean, these Aes Sedai have not seen very many battles, right? Like, when is the Green Archer actually participating in full-scale war? And this is like rough going as well between Aiel, quote unquote, savages, and she is unfazed, just walking in there serene and causing death. Very cool.
Asherman, wolves.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's ever seen a battle like this in the history of the world.
No. It's like, everybody's in on it.
There's no dark element battle involved in this, which is quite funny because it's also one of the most known chapters of this whole series. Then it's just battles between people of the world. They are there. There's dark friends there. Don't dispute that. But it's not an element of pushing. This is the pulling for power. This is a battle for power and control of what's going to come out of the forces of light. Because essentially, okay, the Shadow will be disbanded. They are broken. This is the hammer blow that breaks the Shadow. So that threat is now, okay, cool.
It's not actually.
Not. They're still going after this.
No. Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
There's like 100,000 of them or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Let's move on so we can talk about this book as a whole. Before we do, I'll quickly mention some listener submitted favorite moments. One from Fed Up X Fed, which is just, we come. Yeah. It's her favorite moment. It's a good one. And then Levi wrote in to say that he really enjoyed that at the beginning of that rescue, Dobrain revealing himself as loyal to Rand, like also just saying, okay, cool, we're going to go in. It doesn't matter if we come, if we're coming out or not. And even earlier in the rooms when they're talking about it, Levi was just saying that with so many of the nobles just waiting for a chance to take power from Rand, whenever one is loyal, it feels like a breath of fresh air. Like, yes, a noble that's actually doing cool stuff. I mean, how rare is? Can you name any others? Dylan, that's it. And then Levi had a least favorite moment, which was just Perrin and Fael's jealousy arc. It feels like it never ends, and it ruins Perrin for the rest of the series. And I was like,
wow,
that's a big call, Levi. I mean, I get it. I get where you're coming from, but I think Perrin very much redeems himself and is not even that spoiled in my books. Like, I think Perrin is still quite innocent, especially in that whole love triangle thing. Like, he's inept, but he's not causing it. But then Levi goes on to say, though usually the first friend who gets married becomes a drag to hang out with when you're in your 20s.
Not wrong.
Shots fired. So thanks, Levi. Okay, let's have a little moment here to reflect on the book as a whole. Did you guys, I wrote a couple notes here about some of the main characters, just sort of like their highlights and what sort of their arc was in this book. Did you guys have anything in particular you wanted to say about Lord of Chaos?
That was epic. It's great. Jody pulled out his little notepad. He's ready.
I have 2 pages of notes.
Excellent.
I was thinking about this book, going like having to choose like, okay, what is my favorite moment? And all I could think of was like the last couple of chapters, like Dumai's Wells. And then I started thinking, oh no, wait, wasn't Egwene made Amerlin as well in this book? Like, holy shit. And then a snowball effect. So I went and I found like online, summaries of the whole book, and I was like reading through going, holy shit, so much world-changing shit happened in this book.
Yeah.
With your permission, I would like to just rattle through some of them.
Please do. Please.
All right. So, book 6 highlights, in my opinion. Highlights, that is it. First of all, our girls, Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine, learn from a captured Mogedian. They have a Forsaken captured this entire book. Remember that. I had forgotten. The Aes Sedai from both towers send embassies to Rand, to the Dragon Reborn. Min is reunited with Rand during one of these. Perrin also is reunited with Rand, because we haven't seen him for like 2.5 books, it would feel. Agenor and Balthamel are both reborn into new bodies. Morghese is thought dead, but he's actually alive and is with the White Cloaks. Saladar Aes Sedai learn about Teleanriod and start using it actively to find information. They discover that the Bowl of Winds is actually a thing, and they decide to go and look for it. Nynaeve heals Loghain. She heals Gentling, then heals Stilling afterwards. Not completely, but still pretty much. Mazrim Taim arrives back on the scene, gives Rand a seal to the Dark One's prison. They then form the Black Tower together. Olver, this is all I have to say.
Happens.
Alana bonds Rand against his will. And Aes Sedai bonds the Dragon Reborn. Rand, through his meetings with nobles, finds out that Tigraine is his mommy, gets the whole lineage sorted out. Rand forms a university. We're introduced to Herod Fell, who gives us the answer to the question we didn't know we had asked, and then also is killed in the same book. Ogier are then sent to close waygates all over the world. Very important, because it's been a huge problem up until this point. Matt is almost assassinated by one of the Forsaken using the Shido, Samael, I imagine. Rand toys with his Aes Sedai embassies that are sent to him and causes more shit, because then later Egwene leaves, she becomes Amyrlin Seat. If you had forgotten that happened. Rand, in this whole thing, learns the location of Saladar, which helps him. A grey man tries to kill him and is killed by Taim. Egwene rediscovers traveling for the Aes Sedai side. Lan returns. Did you forget about Lan? Elaine and Nynaeve and Matt head to Ibudar, because then there we go, actually on the mission to find the Bowl of Winds. Rand officially names the Ashaman. That happens in this book. Perrin meets Fael's parents. I put that in there because it needs to be there. There's too many Aes Sedai in Camelin, which forces Rand to flee into the trap in Cairhien, which sets that up. He's then kidnapped in Cairhien. Galena makes a pact with the Shido. Dumai's Wells happens, and then in this prologue, Loghain and Moghedien are both freed and let loose onto the world again. So, whoa! I don't now. I remember all that shit happened, but all that shit happened in one book.
Yeah. Not only did he name the Ashaman, Joe, he established the whole farm in the Black Tower. Everything, like the Ashaman went from scratch to this Dumai's Wells in one book.
Yeah. In one book.
Yeah.
From I found one guy, Dharma Flynn, who can channel.
Yeah.
And now Ashaman kill, Rolling Ring of Earth and Fire.
Yes.
All that shit.
That's
all
huge.
of this in one book. This was packed. It took a really long time to get to the end of this book, so you've already forgotten what happened in the beginning. We did, at least. I suppose if you're reading it on your own at home, you can finish it in a couple of weeks. But us, it's been literally 7 months.
Well, since you're highlighting some of these these major events and things, should we quickly just put out there what our favorite moment or our favorite part or favorite thing about Lord of Chaos is? I mean, it's hard to pick a single moment in time. Even in our short chapters, sometimes we don't pick an exact moment, but more like a theme or like an event or something. So what would you guys say are your personal number one highlights of Lord of Chaos?
Willie?
Joe has to think.
You first.
That's a very good one. I would definitely go and look at a person's development and what is the standout development for me of this book, and that would hands down go to Egwene. She's the
I should have gone first.
leading developed character through all of this, and
yes,
very much developed out of that idiosyncrasies and irritating things that this is not fair, and to just being in charge and unexpectedly by everyone in the book that placed them into power. So for me, that is the biggest arc. We know who Rand is now. Rand is in his situation. Yeah. And I should say the other thing that we have to sort of look at, I know you hate this one, Moritz, but the lose thing is big.
I don't hate it.
But yeah, that is. I know you don't hate it.
Yeah, favorite character arc, Egwene. I mean, she's literally she's the only character arc of or at least the most prominent one in this book. She goes from Aiel, Wise One apprentice to Amyrlin Seat, and then starts giving orders, making plans, upsetting everybody else's plans, sends people on missions to Ibudar. She comes into her own, really, in this book.
I think that's true in the traditional idea of an arc, at least, or a progression for a character being maybe in a growth light. I think Rand's character develops quite a bit here because he goes really crazy. It's here culminating at his, with his interactions with Luz in the box when they actually start interacting with each other.
Yeah.
His descent into madness and then the PTSD that he sustains because of the events leading up to and during Dumai's Wells is with him for books and books, right? It actually molds Rand as a character and his attitude towards Aes Sedai and virtually everyone else around him for virtually the rest of the story. It's only very close to the very end where he sort of has an epiphany and he becomes good Rand again. But his character takes a lot of hits It's like the opposite direction of what Egwene's growth is. Rand is breaking down.
Look, he's going to break down to such a point he loses bits.
Yes.
He loses
bits.
Yeah, he's set. This is a setup for what's to come for him. Definitely, the groundwork is laid in this book. This is the breaking point at the end where he goes, "Fuck y'all."
Yeah, and this is him
definitely.
breaking.
But those payoffs happen later in the other books. But as like a setup and a journey and a payoff, Egwene is like a complete little arc.
Yeah, for sure.
In this, there's more to come, definitely, because those towers are not united yet.
No, they sure aren't.
Sure aren't.
So, what about you, Joe?
What about me? What?
Your favorite moment or thing is? Are you joining Willie in the Egwene arc? Is your favorite thing?
As he started speaking, I said I should have gone first because that's my favorite thing.
Interesting. Okay.
But look, the healing. I like Nynaeve's little thing about
healing, stilling,
discovering healing.
Yeah.
And gentling.
Yes.
That's
huge.
That's awesome. That Loghain's back on the scene because he is going to find his glory and all of that stuff. Couldn't give a shit about the Bowler wins.
That's more like a traditional moment, like a favorite moment, it is very concentrated to just that single event and,
yes.
Not just the things that lead up to it and after it as well, but it is concentrated to this act that she performed that is, it blows the minds of even the Forsaken, right? Nobody from the Age of Legends ever thought that this would be possible. And here's old...
And the repercussions it has for future books coming.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that is really great. My favorite thing about this book, and this is not a moment because, as I said before, it happens actually across the entirety of the book, is the establishing of the Ashaman. The setting up of the school and just the insane pace with which, Rand has tasked Taim with recruiting and teaching and, building weapons for the One Power. And just to see that it doesn't feel rushed. At the end of this book, I didn't feel, maybe I'm the only one, but I didn't feel to me this Deus Ex Machina phenomenon, right? Where, and then Rand also had a bunch of dudes in black coats that can just kill everyone. It didn't feel like that. It felt earned, the establishment of the tower, Rand's difficult relationship with Taim, Taim's weird teaching style, and saying to Rand pretty much you can't tell these guys that they are weapons and they can destroy everything and then expect them to be, modest and nice. But just the setup of the Ashaman and then Rand, coming up with a name for them and giving them the ranks like the novices and accepted have in the White Tower.
Yeah.
It really built up over time, and you check in with them every now and then, and it's such a fucking impactful entrance that they make at Dumai as well. Is that from here on out, okay, the Ashaman are on level footing, if not ahead of where the Aes Sedai are, right? They're still squabbling and, there's 10 times more of them, but they are nowhere near as prepared as what the Ashaman are. I'm really actually looking forward to the Ashaman politics, all the stuff with Taim and his groups and his cronies and the turning of them and how the Aes Sedai start integrating with them when they start bonding the Ashaman. I'm quite excited for that, where it's very amorphous in my head, it's all just sort of blended together in this big Ashaman salad that I can't really pick any kind of detail from.
Ashaman salad.
In the reality that there's all of these Ashaman that's been pulled out of the woodwork, I mean, there surely should be grounds to ask the Red Archer, hey, what have you been up to? Look at this. You best control.
Shitty
what
job.
Have you been doing?
Yeah. Why are we paying you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to audit their department. Something is amiss.
Yeah. I have in my notes here, just to I don't want to touch on some of the characters quickly for Egwene. My first note for is huge book for our girl. Because she emerges after her Lanfear induced injuries, right? She's attacked by Lanfear, and from there, when she's better, she starts dominating the world of dreams. She's doing all that flying between people's dreams. She is unparalleled by anyone except the Dreamwalkers themselves from the Aiel in Tel'aran'rhiod. She's earning huge respect from the Wise Ones. they tell her toward the end, like, you are basically a wise one. You can come back to us anytime. All the things we discussed before about them sort of legitimizing Egwene in our eyes as a wise one, as an Aiel. She becomes the Ammonency. She rediscovers traveling. And not only that, but she immediately starts plotting and scheming like a boss. Like Swan is already there and Egwene is on. She's not a puppet. Swan isn't just acting out her own plans through Egwene. Egwene is actively participating in them. And Swan is even taking some, not pointers, but like Egwene's taking the lead on some things. Like when she's the one that decided Logain should be helped to escape so he can go join the Black Tower and that sort of stuff. So yeah, great book for Egwene. Nynaeve had a tricky book because she's still super frustrated by her block. She's struggling with taking credit for Mogedian's discoveries, until she eventually says that, she doesn't want to take credit for them anymore. And then she discovers by herself how to heal Stilling, which is amazing. I'm really, really looking forward to Nynaeve breaking her block, which I hope coincides with her easing her temper a little. I was listening to Morgan on Podcast of the Dragon recently, where she had an episode on Nynaeve's arc through Fires of Heaven, which was it Fires of Heaven or was it Lord of Chaos? Could be Lord of Chaos even, but like dealing with like the frustration that we had with Nynaeve. But she said something that sort of helps me a little bit, which is that Nynaeve's behavior in the last couple of books is somewhat, she suspects or posits that Nynaeve is actually trying to keep herself angry all the time by putting herself at odds with everyone around her, because for a large part of the book, they're being hunted by Mogedian, and Nynaeve knows she can only channel when she's angry. So she's almost subconsciously taking every opportunity to make herself angry and frustrated and annoyed so that she can channel more easily, which I think is a pretty nifty way of softening my stance on those chapters. But how that's relevant here is just I really can't wait for Nynaeve to break her block so that I can see if that does in fact coincide with her softening and becoming the Nynaeve that I remember loving, right? Like, I mean, I've always been a big Nynaeve fan. And at the moment, it's still kind of hard, despite her amazing discoveries. It's hard to like her sometimes because she is just so bloody Nynaeve.
So bloody Nynaeve, yes.
Not a lot happens for Elaine in this book. Okay? Like, she gets better at making Tarangril. That's about it.
I think the next book that is really Nynaeve's book, where she breaks her block?
Could be.
Because then, like, Elaine's comes later on. Because Christina was... Oh, I haven't read that far ahead. But Christina was reading. She's read ahead. She's like, oh, she told me after book 11, I think, it's like, oh, Elaine is now Queen of Cairhien and Andor. So that happens much later.
Crossroads of Twilight is the Caemlyn and Andor politics heavy one. So I'm assuming it's at the end.
So that's where that happens. So I'm in between there is where Nynaeve finds her arc and breaks her block and comes into her own.
Cool, that must be great.
Lan.
Next book.
Yeah.
We're gonna start loving Nynaeve again.
Excellent.
And we need some Matt action somewhere along the line.
Matt's here a lot in this book, hey? But like he's pretty steady. Like not a lot actually happens.
Following orders.
Yes.
Being sent around to do shit. And
we do get to see his obvious skill at leading the band, which is great. And what's also cool is seeing his relationship with Olva over time is cool. And I thought it was ironic that he's been sent back to his most annoying charges again, Elaine and Nynaeve and Egwene. Like after like being on a long mission to go save them from the Stone of Tyr, Rand sends him straight back to Celadon and go save them again. He's like, oh, okay, here I go again.
Yeah, do some looming.
Yeah. Perrin largely absent, just right at the end, but he does come back with a bang.
Massive bang.
I was wondering if maybe Perrin had to be away from Rand, because we see how Rand and Perrin have friction here because of how Perrin is. Willie, I think you said it earlier, like Perrin is just always rock steady. He doesn't bend to the Aes Sedai's will. He doesn't bend to Rand's will. He's not willing to give up on his morals, or he is just solid as a rock. And you almost can't have that around Rand for Rand to deteriorate and to become more utilitarian. So like I think RJ separated them for that reason, because Perrin would be a constant reminder to Rand that he is being a jerk or he's being too practical or utilitarian. So I think like maybe Perrin is away for basically 2 books. He's gone completely from Fires of Heaven. We read about him briefly in the prologue of this book, and then again right at the end. So, yeah, basically
Yeah,
gone.
because he's going to be off on his Fael hunt for 2 books.
That's coming. And then lastly, I just wanted to say about Rand that this whole book is post Ravine. So if you remember at the end of Fires of Heaven, that's when the fight with Ravine happens in Camelin. And it's leading up to his confrontation with Samael, which we know happens in the next book. But Rand in this one gets bogged down in trying to run Camelin after Ravine's death. So he's dealing with the power vacuum that he created there. So in the meantime, in Andor, he then starts the Black Tower. He seemed poised to move on Samael, but he's missing a key piece, which is like Matt or Perrin and Tyr. And when he learns where Elaine is, that derails him. Right, so like, oh, Elaine's in Saladar. He immediately sends Matt there. So he's now taken that piece from his grand plan for the army and his Samael attack. He's put that on hold. So he's perpetuated his own, administrative and governance problems for himself by not actually moving on Samael and getting on with the grand plan. He's sort of taken a step backwards, and that means that at the end of this book, we don't get the big showdown with the Shadow. There's no level boss here, right? There's no boss at the end of Crown of Swords Lord of Chaos that is a shadow representation. Like, it would be very convenient to just have a Forsaken to fight at the end of a book. Yeah, the whole time Rand is just stewing in his own pressure cooker, like fending off nobles and Aes Sedai while trying to figure out how to seal the Dark One's prison again, with obviously the help of Herodfell, and trying to build a force of male channelers. All this time he's aware of Massimo wreaking havoc in his name. He doesn't even know about the return of the Shaunchan yet. Can you imagine how stressed out Rand's going to be when the Shaunchan become a real thing? I mean, Path of Daggers, I think, is him dealing with the Shaunchan and coming up with some kind of plan to fit them into the grand scheme for Tarmon Gardon. So, yeah, tough book for Rand. Couple steps back.
He doesn't have an easy job, and it's going to go downhill from here for him for a while. So just hang in there, buddy.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I really enjoyed this book. Like, I can't remember. I don't know where it sits on other people's rankings, but I mean, Dumai's Wells obviously would be doing a lot of heavy lifting for a lot of people. The recency bias, obviously, of reading it right at the end of the book would go, wow, this was a great book. And you don't remember the other 1,000 pages that happened before then, or before Dumai's Wells. But I think after Joe, like, doing my own sort of recap over what happened here and the sort of highlights that you read out there, it is jam-packed with, massive events and plot lines and stuff setting off and concluding. And yeah, it's a really great one. It's very high on my list of favorite books so far. I haven't had a dud yet.
No, me neither. It's coming. It's inevitable. After 14 books, 15 if you include.
I mean, they can't all
prologues.
be winners.
No.
Law of averages. Okay, that's all that I had to say. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about Lord of Chaos before we turn our eyes forward to Crown of Swords?
No, let's turn forward.
Oh, it's been a long evening.
Please make it stop.
Okay, then with no further ado, next time on Blood and Ashes, we will be reading a whole new book called A Crown of Swords. Maybe you've heard of it. We'll cover just 2 chapters. The prologue, called Lightnings, and chapter 1, called High Chaseline? Chaseline.
It's a festival. I think it's like the solstice.
Right. Okay. Well, RJ's obviously got a taste for festivals, because here comes another one.
Yep.
Can't wait to start another book. But until I do, I will say to thee, sleep well and wake.
May you all find water and shade.
Keep fuel at the filling station.
Okay.
Good night.